On today's episode of Let's Talk FGO, back to school with Merlin, who never spent a day in school in his life, and 32 million downloads in JP. Crazy talk. Anyway, hello. This is Let's Talk FGO, your weekly podcast about Fate Grand Order and other stuff. I am one of your hosts, your Seneschal Omega. With me, as always, the arch-militant Lucky.
I hope everyone is enjoying Fate Grand Order, aka Spirit Sightseeing Scenarios. And while we here at Studio Omega like to bring you the latest FGO-related news and memes, we will be talking about current and future events, both the GP and EN versions of the game, so anyone not wanting spoilers should know that in the grim and dark future, there's only war.
There's only war. Alright. So let's take FGO. Before we get into the stuff, I guess just a couple of, regular business catch-ups. One, this episode is brought to you by viewers like you, but especially our patrons watching live. More about them later. But also, hey, you may have noticed, schedule was a little weird this week. I did warn you about that, but to reiterate, in case you missed that, had a housing project this week. Got a, bunch of the fam together, the old barn raising style. A full barn wasn't raised, but we did put up some walls. A basically super short version. I don't know how much our audience cares about this or not. Let me know in the comments, I guess, if you want more detailed story time there. We can throw it in on a stream. But converting one of the garages to basically a little guest apartment, so, gonna have separate bedroom, separate bath, kitchenette, little living space, etc. So, it's a garage that was previously, I'm pretty sure, judging by the smell, used as a cat kennel. So, needs drywall, needs new windows, needs walls, the partition, all that. Needs a little bit of plumbing. So we did that for a few days, but we were able to, with all the help, finish a little ahead of schedule, so everything went fine. But that did mean that my sleep schedule got a little rotated around a little, and I was very exhausted most days, because as usual with projects, it involves a lot of, I guess you'd say hurry up and wait. It's like, okay, we have a piece of drywall cut, it's got to go, you got to hold it in place until the other guy, screws it in. All right, cool, now we wait till he's got all the screws in. Because there's no point lifting a heavy piece of drywall until he's ready to put it in. But, missed Monday stream, missed Tuesday stream, and didn't have to go necessarily shorter, but we were all out of sorts for Final Fantasy, so that was a shorter stream on Wednesday. But we should be back for more. We'll be all caught up on stuff. Keep on keeping on so we can work on Death Stranding again on Monday. Hopefully we'll be back for Fail Betrayal on Tuesday. That's something that I'm still kind of not, probably, God, I hope so. But, fun fact, also, unrelated, but Tuesday the 2nd is when some people are coming to hook up our whole house generator and redo the electrical panel at the same time. Hey, if you don't know, that means they have to turn off the power to do that. You can't replace the electrical panel if electricity is flowing through it. So, hopefully that's early in the day when it's not super hot and not going to bother anything, but I genuinely don't know, so we'll see next Tuesday. But otherwise, big yay. I do also want to say, since we're still early in the show, as usual, Lucky, belts out the spoiler warning, but I do want to say, once again, if you are one of those people who wants to go in completely blind, I kind of feel like there's less and less of them these days, but they do still exist. We are going to pregame Great Spirits Tour, WANDJINA World Tour, because that should be coming out, speaking of, next week. Probably the 3rd, technically early morning of the 4th, maybe. Depends on if there's going to be a maintenance or not. But, with all that bee's knees out of the way, let's check in with everybody's favorite Kohai, Mesh.
Senpai, 起きてください.
I had to fight really hard there not to clear my breathing in the middle of the audio cue. Anyway, hey, that means it's time for Wake the Fuck Up Server Pro Tips. Your pro tip this week is they have announced the September materials. Your September materials for weekly logins and also bonus tickets and stuff will be sun scales, rainbow yarn, homunculi, stakes, and bullets. All of those are pretty good. I'm probably going to go sun scales because I'm going to bet that's what I have the least of, but we do use a lot of stakes in this house.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. There's your materials. Moving on, just a real quick check-in. Record to the Thread Reg Achievement topic. Just so happened because we've gotten some just extra free EXPs that I have worked my way up, and you may recall, during summer, I was spooked by a Nightingale. But we have Smile Protected, max leveled her, thanks to all the free EXPs. I hadn't actually sat down this week and done any EXP grinding, but we're here. Yay. But that means we will move swiftly on the business track to, did you finish your master missions? to finish your master missions this week. Sorry, I was scratching my nose if I sounded slightly out of phase there. Anyway, master missions are perform 30 FP summons, defeat 3 lawful servants, defeat 3 evil servants, defeat 3 servants with the divine trait, complete 5 quests, complete 10 quests. Pretty normal stuff. Back to school can have you doing a few things. You know, you might have some half APs going around. Get some master missions to do some stuff as well. So, you know, catch up on some stuff. And if not, there's always Fuyuki. Pretty sure you can get all that stuff done in Fuyuki. Regular-ass Herc is divine, right? He has a divinity trait, so I assume that's just what the marker is. You can fight that guy in a big, scary cave. Yeah. So, that means let's... Sorry, I almost said let's us. Not grammatically correct. Not as bad earlier when I was letting you know about setting up, and I was just like, I'm ready to go for whatever, and then there was no second E, or 30 technically, and whenever. There was just 2 R's at the end. I was like, fuck it, 2 R's! Who needs to spell? Sometimes I fix my typos. Sometimes I say, fuck it, we ball. Anyway, skeletograms. Beginning at the top. Back to school campaign. For 2025, you kind of know it's coming. We talked about there's a social media campaign last week, so starting the 28th, technically going until the 20th. We're kind of stacking a lot of stuff here. But Merlin showed up. He's giving presents because the social media campaign passed, which means there's a few extra tickets. There's some Saint Courts and some other goodies. There's also daily bonus logins. They are based on the date, not on cumulative or total or anything logins. It's specifically login on this date to get the extra goodies. It's broken up into like 3 phases, so I assume they're using this to catch up on a lot of different rewards and stuff. But there's going to be tickets, there's going to be Saint Course, there's going to be foes, apples, QP, etc. So, wide variety of things to pick up. There are also some limited time master missions for more Saint Courts and stuff. One of these is related to a later bullet point. But also, kind of out of nowhere, but I guess it's cool, the Part 1.5 trailer now plays when you finish Part 1. That's neat. That's cool.
Woo.
Didn't realize that was not in, but does kind of make sense. You know, Part 1 ended only like a year and a half? Half in a year? Yeah, it'd be like after second Christmas, so I guess we just didn't have that technology to put the videos into phone game. But you also permanently are getting +3 friend slots. Yay, friend slots. This is also related to one of the limited time master missions going on as well. So, get some Saint Courts if you add some extra friends.
Woo.
Or follow. But yeah, friends and followers, get some Saint Courts. Also, even though it hasn't been that long since Anniversary, we are kind of keeping up with the, it's a great time to start or get back into FGO because we're doubling Start Dash and we are increasing returning master bonuses, or activating and returning master bonuses for this period. So again, if you somehow are watching this video and haven't tried FGO yet, or you've been away for a little bit, want to do some catch-up, it's a perfect time. Jump on in. We do have 2 banners for this. We have announced Merlin and regular Emiya, Year 1 All-Star, and also a Gilgamesh Astolfo banner, the world's most not limited man. The Merlin banner is also pretty good. It's been a while since he's had a nice full banner. JP has also got something going on. We got a little ways. I think we got like 6 days to wait before their stream for their next event will be taking place until, at least a week into September. I will say, slightly unrelated to 32 million downloads is what I'm going to talk about, but they have announced that one of the guests for that stream is Kana Ueda.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of people speculating, because Ueda was involved in a lot of arcade stuff, and Noah's from arcade, so people are kind of like,
I'm pretty sure that someone could, sneeze on stream and someone would say, that means something!
It's true. I don't know if it's necessarily specific to FGO as a fan base, or it's just generally kind of the fan base menace. I do think that the way Nasi's writing is sometimes kind of encourages the Pepe Sylvia board behavior, because sometimes stuff is connected, but sometimes stuff just happens. So, I don't know, but we got stuff. Anyway, 32 million downloads happening in JP now. Your headliner servant is Morgan. She showed up with some stuff. First of all, probably the most shocking, just because these do kind of come out of nowhere in JP, we've got a second Start Dash GSSR.
Woo.
This one is Part 2 themed. I believe it just takes was it even 15? It might be was it 12 paid courts to use?
Mm-hmm.
It's very slimline. It is Part 2 themed. You have to clear the Part 2 prologue to access it, so kind of an interesting, what I want to say, like stutter step here, kind of stair step pattern.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got, we had a Part 1 themed start dash, which is available, like, I think right away once you clear Fuyuki, and now we've got a new one that's got some Part 2 era servants in there. Not entirely, but, from that block. So you've got a fine selection of servants, such as Arthur, through, like, Sigurd. I'm trying to think, who's the latest here? Is it Scotty? Yeah, I don't see any LB3 servants. So I think it's just that period, that block. Also, it's not in my notes as news, because it is technically news, but it feels a little weird to call it that. But unfortunately, Old Man Moriarty's voice actor has passed away. He was 72, I think. But yes, very sad. But I thought of it just to say it just now, because Moriarty is in that GSSR list. Because it counts, I think, for 1.5, and like I said, the first yearish of Part 2. Half a year? That's gotta be a year. Did we get, like, 3 Lost Belts in 1 year? That can't be right. That sounds crazy. But yes, very sad news about Moriarty. His Subarashi was very iconic.
Yes.
You knew that guy by that voice. Chad is saying that it was something like that. That feels so weird now, but I guess, like, LB 1, 2, and 3 aren't... LB 3 is actually quite short as far as writing length goes. I think it is the shortest Lost Belt. Different times, man. Let's see, where was I in my notes? Login bonuses for up to 30 of various things. Very big login bonuses when we get to 32 million downloads. They do have various milestones in Part 1 to complete them for QP, EXPs, Evocation Leafs, statues, and a Bond Grail. The main goal is to clear story in Part 1 here, but they seem like the actual milestones are kind of scattershot. If you're all caught up, it's no big deal. You'll just get them all at once. But I like saw some of the posted chapters, and it's like, Clear Orleans Chapter 10. And it's like, okay. So I think they just, wanted to spread them out throughout the story completion. As usual, for a download event, there is a extra stock in the Mana Prism and RP shop. There's another bout of event CEs in DaVinci shop, including Aerial Drive and a few more other summer-type CEs and stuff. So very, very cool that they get to kind of rotate in some of these previously limited CEs that are still super foundational to a lot of strats. Like Aerial Drive, for instance, as the kind of, 50% charge buster up CE is, like, very critical to a lot of strategy startup. And they've got similar ones in the list as well. You're looking at half AP on Embers, double suck chance during the event period. And your banner is very simply Morgan Babo.
Morgan Babo.
I've actually been seeing a lot of Morgan Balbanshi art as a result. But yeah, it looks like JP is just chilling for at least another week-ish before they drop their next, limited time event to set up the Rider Grand Duel. We'll see how it is. But that means we've just got a couple of quicker EN newses. Firstly, it's that time of year again. We're getting a new Mana Prism Craft Essence. This one is very important, chat. It's very mission critical. The period of exchange will be from the 31st of this month, August, to the 30th of November. So you only have a handful of months to get it. But it's going to be President Ocean. President Ocean. When maxed out, this one's going to give you plus 25 FP and 2.5% on both QP and Master EXP. So those of you who are not max master level can appreciate every little bit of EXP, and goodness knows every little bit of QP counts. But our last little bit of news is we have announced a Kaldea Broadcasting Light, number 19, will happen the 3rd of September. September the 3rd. This will be for Great Spirits World Tour, because we already have the social media campaign up, which ends the 2nd. So very good to know that, it seems like the event will actually start on the 3rd, or depending on maintenance times, if we've got them technically the 4th. But first week of September, that is indeed early September if you're looking at your roadmap. That's still, like, by the way, I just want to remind everybody, that's still, like, 3 weeks early. I believe Great Spirits World Tour launched in JP, like, the 20th of September and went into early October. So we're still early. And yes, we cleared the goals, so we should get our extra little St. Quartz infusions. As I said, we will have a very brief pregame for that ahead of time. It really, to spoil the pregame a little bit if you aren't the type of person to tune into those, the event's very straightforward. No real extra mechanics. You're just going to do some stuff. but we'll talk more about that later, and obviously look forward to a WANDJINA Wanted sometime in the future. I've actually got some ideas to polish up a little bit of our production value on Wanted. Got some tricks for some slicker transitions. I do need to. I guess I should ask, the audience this. Would it be too disorienting, audience, if I used JoJo sound effects to mark my transitions in Wanted? Because for some reason that's really, I'm just imagining, the world time stops or King Crimson edit noises when I want to do transitions in my head, and I can't get rid of that thought, and I need you guys either to tell me it's okay or just I'm fucking crazy. Like, either one works, because I'm just kind of inside my own head about it, but we'll see. I'm pretty sure I can find most JoJo sound effects pretty easy on the internet. But yeah, that is the Skelligrams.
The Skelligrams! Okay, so with that, it is time for this week's Let's Talk FGO Mailbag, the segment where we read what you have to say and comment accordingly. This week, we have five lovely submissions. I just refreshed, so I know. And we will get through them all. And we begin at the top. Right meow. Sorry, I had a temporary brain fart.
It's okay.
So, we begin with the 100-Hour Man, who says, Dear Lucky and Omegam. I don't know if that was intentional or not.
Yeah, I thought about lining up the minor spelling error, but I don't actually know if it was... It could just be part of the alias. I don't know. Or the intro.
But they say... Had a horrible time last week with a lot of politics and sports ball stuff really affected me on a personal level. Not going into the details to bring down the mood, but just have to say I've been looking forward to the show and it's really getting me getting through these last few days. You guys are always the highlight of the week. Well, thank you. Well, I'm glad you're here listening and submitting to Mailbag. That makes my week. So there, what you gonna do about that?
It's the circle of parasocial. You give us the comments, we give you the show.
But they finish off with no questions this week. Just a reminder, you two are awesome and keep on being awesome. Lucky will keep on being lucky. I'm pretty sure Omega will keep on being Omega. I was about to say Omega will keep on being lucky, but I was like, wait
a minute. Hold on. That's some no, don't speak that deep lore.
So, thank you for that. We move on. This next one comes from Monster Girl Aficionado, who says, Dear Lucky and Omega, no questions this week, just sending the good vibes and wishing you well. Keep up the great work. This person didn't remind me to do my PvP ladder, so I'm not going to do it. Nah. And we got time. And next week, we got the first patch in the patch cycle for, what was it, 7.3?
Yeah, 7.31.
Coming up next week. So we're going to be busy with other stuff. Ain't got no time for PvP.
We can get the space to hummel.
Oh, moving on. This next one coming from the Tyrant King channeling his inner Lucha Libre with Mega Halucha. I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know. This one reminds me, just as purpose of nothing. I remember someone in like the past couple weeks just posted the opening to Mucha Lucha from all those years ago, and I'm all like, shit! How dare you activate this in my brain? It's been stuck in my head for a little bit.
Yeah.
But they say, question, hey guys, with October being a Monster Tamer kind of month with Digimon and ZA releases, what are some of your favorite monster taming / using anime? Anyway, that's it for me. Sending good vibes your way. And hope you have a great evening. Oh, God. Like, I don't think this is necessarily, like, perfectly one-to-one for, like, monster taming, but I think, like, the first, like, kid using, surrogate to do battle with was Metabots that I watched on Fox Kids all those years ago.
Very classy. I watched a little Metabots myself. I own some of the little figurines somewhere.
Mm-hmm. I don't remember what its actual name is in Japan, but there was another one called Fighting Foodons, which was just the same thing, except everything was, food, yes. Main character had fried rice. I'm
trying to think, was this a response to kind of the Pokemon blow up? Is like a lot of people were trying their hands at like marketable, pet battler anime, or is it just that like because Pokemon blew up in America, that's what licensors were like, yo, get me whatever marketable fighting anime you got. Robots? Food? Send it.
I don't know, but like I said, like while these like shows were good, they were definitely aimed at children and aimed at selling fucking products, so...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember watching a few episodes.
Those are the two that like I remember fondly from my youth.
A few episodes of Metabots. I watched like... I had no idea what was happening because this is the way it was back in the day, chat, with cable. You would just start shit. So, like, I started watching, like, some Beyblade in the middle of an arc, and had like absolutely no fucking idea what was going on.
I don't think I have ever watched an episode of Beyblade in my life, actually. Like, genuinely. I know what it is, I've heard of it, I've seen, like, the toys and stuff. Never actually watched an episode of it, which...
Also owns some
I find
Beyblades.
somewhat shocking.
I have to have watched at least a dozen episodes of Beyblade. Maybe 2 dozen. I genuinely couldn't tell you, though, because, like, honestly, Beyblade's cool, but, like, kind of, like, just watching it in the middle, it was, you know, one of those series which is, like... It could truly be about anything because it's just, there's like 4 to 5 guys and a couple of sidekicks and they've got tops and sometimes their tops shoot dragons. Oh shit,
like,
it's all
there's
on
another
YouTube.
couple,
Maybe I should start
there's another
watching
couple
them.
out there, like Zatch Bell is another one that would
A
qualify
classic.
under that.
I watched a few episodes of that, but you know, again, cable, it's hard to
There's
stay
another one that
current.
I'm trying to remember the name of. I know I watched all of it, but I can't remember the name of it. I don't think it like ever was like really big in like merchandising and whatnot and stuff. But it was just basically this it was this anime with the main character. He was like I can't remember what he was, but he basically, you know, did some very specific, you know, spiritual prayers, like doing certain hand signs. And then he runs into like a wolf guy, and those hand commands are what gives the wolf guys commands. And I can't remember the name of it, but I remember it very vividly. God, I wish I could fucking remember what it was called. But no.
Yeah, not ringing any bells for me just yet.
No, I can't think of the name of it. It's one of those animes I just watched in passing, and, you know, some parts stuck out to it, other parts didn't. Like the fucking name of the damn series. Good job, Lucky. Your memory
You could
is
probably
amazing, as
argue
always.
back in that one, Shaman King, there were ghosts.
There was Shaman King went through a couple weird power-up arcs of, like, being able to do stuff with ghosts.
It did the classic manga thing, but it was pretty cool at the time. The manga also, as usual, way more hardcore than the anime.
As usual.
Reminds me, I need to watch the remastering they did, the remaking they did sometime. That you know, they did the thing where it's like it's supposed to be closer to the manga story. And of course, Digimon Season 3, Series 3, Tamers, still bangs.
I watched a lot of Pokemon and Digimon growing up. I don't think it ever actually super stuck with me, though. Well, I think that's evidence as, you know, me, I really do not care that much about Pokemon or Digimon that care. Like, I am not excited in the slightest for the new Pokemon games or the Digimon games. I think they're cool. If they cross my periph, I'll give them a look, but I'm not out of them. But do you know what I missed? Do you know what I genuinely actually missed, which I find is a fucking shame that hasn't made a resurgence? Monster Rancher. Who remembers Monster Rancher?
I remember some ads for, I think, the games, yeah. I know they had an anime. I don't think I ever watched it.
No, it was a pretty good anime. Monster Rancher I thought was amazing because back on the PlayStation 1, the way that you got new monsters was that you would pop open your PlayStation 1, put in a different disc, close it. The game would read the disc and you would get a monster from that. And specific games will give you like specific monsters. You can get like very like specific monsters from like certain ones. I can't remember what they all are off the top of my head, but I just found that gimmick so ridiculous that I loved it. And I wish we had more stuff like that.
Well, they did. It looks like they re-released 1 and 2 in like 2021.
Oh, did they? Holy shit! I'm gonna have to go find that.
Monster Rancher. I can only assume that's what Monster Rancher 1 and 2 DX was. Thanks, Koei Tecmo. And then there was in 2022 there was Ultra Kaiju Monster Rancher. Don't know what that was about. But yeah, it's been like 3 years and possibly longer, depending on how like it's been a Monster Rancher for the DS was 2008. Chat. So like it's been a while. Koei Tecmo is kind of sitting on that one, kind of sleeping. Which is funny because literally there is a cited Wikipedia entry which is Monster Rancher is a popular series in Japan and has a cult following elsewhere. As of 2007, sold at least 4 million copies as a franchise. And it's like, that's pretty good. Kind of surprised I haven't done more with that, but you know, everybody's busy.
Yeah, no, like Monster Rancher 4 was like their last big.
Yeah, speaking of Pokemon, like obviously I feel a little more in tune with the games than the anime. I did watch a lot of the anime, but I think even as a kid, I kind of like, I didn't think of it this way, but I kind of cottoned on to what the gimmick was, which is just Ash would vaguely meander through the plot of the game, catch some Pokemon, he'd lose at the end, and release them all. So, like, after like, the third series they did that for, it did kind of feel like it lost its luster a little. The OG theme songs were huge bangers, though. Obviously, the original's a classic, but I'm trying to remember, was it the first or second Johto theme? I'd have to look it up. I won't look it up right now because I'm capturing my audio. But that was a real strong one.
I might see about getting Monster Hunter 1 to 2DX.
I feel like
Interesting enough, I'm looking it up on
anime
React.
rants
Apparently, you just access like a library and click what you want to pick, and it'll generate it from that. So that's interesting. But yes, no, I was also wrong. It wasn't just games; it could also be CDs and some later titles, DVDs as well.
Of course. We're really that's so funny that like Koei Tecmo is like, oh, you can play music CDs in a Sony PlayStation. Hold on, wait a minute. We could do something funny with this.
I remember
The
when video
PS2
games
is a
really used to be
DVD player?
weird. I have heard some people talking about how game development and game ideas nowadays are a lot more safe and sanitized than they were back in the day, and I kind of agree with it.
It's true, but I think it's mostly true about AAA, and that's mostly just because the budget loss is really bad. Like, look at like Concord, been a year, RIP.
Mm-hmm.
That was like a huge boondoggle of money even before Sony got involved, but after Sony got involved, it also cost them a lot of money, and it was just like, arguably, like, it failed, I think, because it was too safe. It was kind of sauceless, but at the same time, it's like, you know, one person's sauceless is another guy's like, oh, this is my dream game.
No, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you say that in AAA. No, I'll extend that to fucking indie games as well. Indie games generally, like, indie games do a lot more, but I generally think they fall into, like, one of 4 categories of what it is. Either it's some weird 3D life sim, it's either, you know, a pixel adventure, a quirky horror game, or what do I put the false one? Oh, or an artistic piece. It's like, generally indie games fall into those 4 categories. Generally.
I would probably list the categories a little different. Like you said, oh, like a pixel adventure. In my mind, that's usually more of like, usually that's a specific retro clone. But yeah, no, like indie games are passion projects, so it really depends on what you're passionate about. Well, usually they're passion projects. There are also
okay. I should take that back. I should say like a 2D or pixel adventure, because Zach's asking about Metrovanias. I'll be like, no, it's not always pixels.
Some of those are classic sprites.
Yeah,
but yeah, like I shouldn't be too lenient. I say, you know, indie games are passion project. They're on like 8 Garden of bands. That is just a fucking cash grab. Like the devs like crashed out on Twitter because people were speedrunning the games and refunding them on Steam because you could beat them in less than 2 hours. So they had to pad their own games.
No, it's like, I'm not saying like indie games or AAA games aren't fun and interesting and stuff, but like, I do think that Game Devez has narrowed its scope in like the past 10 to 15 years.
I think there are still some good standouts, both in indie and even in like single or double A game design. The problem is, and you talked about this when what's his face, Jeff Keighley brought it up at Summer Games Fest, right? Talking about like Steam and how many different video games there are on Steam, right? Mm-hmm. Like the problem is like capturing them to the top. Like some of you may not. Well, first of all, I was gonna say some of you may not know this, but RTS games are back. Also, some people in chat may be like, RTS games never left, baby. But I do think there was a lull in major breaker titles for RTS genres, right? Like, the RTS genre kind of, like, faded out and got replaced by MOBAs and, like, the esports space. And so...
It kind of did. Like, after StarCraft 2...
Yeah, StarCraft 2.
I kind of feel like we kind of just... there's no Command & Conquers. WoW stopped making fucking RTSs.
Yeah. And obviously, also... all of their attempts to build another to wowify StarCraft failed. Like, none of those worked. And I don't think
I remember when StarCraft Ghost was a thing, and that never got off the fucking ground.
Yeah, no, they went through like 3 or 4 editions of that. But also, there are like decent, well-made, out of beta even RTSs. There's some stinkers, but like I've heard a lot of good things about if you're into like modern stuff. Broken Arrow, it's, you know, U.S. versus Russia type stuff, but it's supposed to be pretty good. There's, you know, a few content creators who have done some stuff on it. You know, they exist in the space, but it's the kind of thing where, like, if you're not, like, following, either the people who make that game on Twitter, or you're not following, like, content creators or, like, pocket press tours about this kind of thing, you'd probably miss it. I'm pretty sure there are, either, I would say, games that do not fall into those categories, or there are extra categories, out there, but that we just don't know about.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you've always got I feel like, between, like, games like Balatro and, I completely forgot for a second. Inscription. Like, quirky card game is out there, but that is also kind of a divide, because I feel like Inscription is, like, vaguely horrific and spooky, and Balatro is just, the terror is in how many hours you will lose.
Yeah, no, there's games out there that, kind of define it. Like Balatro, like, games like Balatro, are definitely things that are, like, outside the norm, but you never know what is going to catch that spark. Some people just get, like, so involved in a game that, it just, escapes containment. This is kind of what happened with Schedule 1 for a while. That definitely what happened with Balatro.
Yeah, Schedule 1 is definitely one of those, it's a very specific type of life sim, but yeah, it's a 3D, sim game.
Yeah, like I said. But, also, I can't think of the names of the two games. Repo is the other one. And what was the other one? The one where you're playing, like, the guys in space, and you had to bring stuff back to the ship. What was that called?
Oh, Lethal Company.
Lethal Company, yes. It's like, those are games that all, escape containment, but that is mostly done in part for streamer content. Guess what? People like to play games online and show people and get ad rev for that. So they find, quirky, funny games where people can be absolute animals to each other, so people will watch it and like, this is amazing, and give them ad rev.
Well, and also, we play games with friends. There is something to be playing a game with friend. And some of these games are designed for it. I think the ones that stick and get popular are the ones that are better at facilitating it. And if they don't, they kind of like slump down. Like, I think there were, especially with Lethal Company, there were kind of like, clone games for a while, but some of them didn't really take off. There was like I even forgot what they called it. There was like the content creating version of Lethal Company where you like go into the subterranean and shoot camera. Like, it had its own kind of distinct feel, but also I feel like that game didn't do enough to really stand out.
That's what it was.
Yeah, content warning. There's another one that I don't think I've showed any clips to you or the guys about, but also popped up. It was like newscaster. It's kind of the same idea as Content Warning or Lethal Company, but it's about, like, your newscasters in an alien invasion. So, like, you take pictures of aliens, and sometimes, a kaiju basically shows up and you get stepped on before you can make it back to the helicopter type shit. Like, it's funny, but it's not really doing enough in the curve that gets out there. And there are games that are kind of unique. Like, the flavor of the month, I think, is still Peak, but Peak is kind of doing its own thing because Peak is a mountain climbing survival game, which you can completely solo, but it has room for like, haha, funny, prank your friends. Here, my friend, eat this poisoned apple. Ah, you poisoned me. Why would you do that? Says Loth as we poison him for the 5th time. It would be Loth, by the way. We would poison Loth because if you poisoned me or Lucky, that would go down in our book of grudges.
Probably. If I could, I would probably. I don't know. I might try to kill Omega at some point if his name was in my book of grudges. Yeah, I would.
If it happens, but I don't know. We've talked about like the declaring whether it's fuck around mode or not, right?
Yeah. Like I said,
like if it's fuck around, we can fuck around.
Yeah, no, that's like one of those things I definitely like, knowing me as a person. If I know we are fucking around, Lucky can fuck around. I will, say damn the consequences, and I will just do whatever gives me joy. And I'll expect other people to do that to me. But like generally, I do not start a game in fuck around mode. Generally.
I know it's not when we're all focused on a goal. It's more just like it's one of those things of like, are we working together or are we not working together? Like if we're in fuck around mode, we can fuck around. If we are locked in and we're trying to climb this damn mountain, lock in.
Yeah.
Like Peak's interesting. I like I said, I don't know if I would recommend it to the group because I don't know if that's necessarily our flavor because it is at its core a stamina kind of climbing based game. It's almost a puzzle game because it's like figuring out what your best way to get up the mountain is and then using consumables because you have like a food bar that'll show up, or if you use too much energy you'll get like a tired bar. If you get burned or injured, you get an injured bar. but also if you carry too much, you get like a weight bar penalty to your stamina. So it's like a thing. And like I said, it's the kind of game where if we did it, you know, you and I, Lucky, would be like, you know, cavemen with typewriters being like, hold on, I think I finally figured out this cliff. Loft's gonna be in the next zip code getting eaten by the zombie scoutmaster because the game actually has a punishment for if you run too far ahead of the group.
Yeah.
I'm still not sure. I'm trying to parse out what Axe is saying, but I'm still not quite getting the grammar.
Yeah, no, Axe say like,
think I'm getting
like forgive me for pulling back the current, but Axe said Lucky just don't like it when we're focused on a goal. My response to this is I don't understand what Axe behind me is. Lucky is extremely goal focused. Then Axe responds to this with that you get pissed when people try to randomly fuck around in the middle of you or we as a group trying to get something done, which does not match with what he said at the beginning.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not following the grammar.
Yes, no, but no, like Lucky does get pissed at people when they do random fucking around or when we're not being a cohesive group. This is like one of my big problems with Loth. Loth is what is normally what you normally consider a team player. Loth is generally very helpful. He puts others before himself. If you ask him to do something, he will generally do it. But Loth is also extremely ADD. If he gets a fucking thought in his brain, he will go herring off into the middle of a scary complex to get it done, damning, you know, whether or not he is going to die or whether he needs support. He will just fucking go.
And on top of that, Loth is also the number one person I know in our play group who has the, what we call it, brick wall reflex. Like if he is on something and he has an obstacle, he will bang his head into it over and over again. Like last night we played some Abiotic Factor. We were doing some stuff. We're trying to figure out some goals. Abiotic's a funny little game. Like I said, I'm still overall positive on it. There are some weird bits in it. I think the number one thing right now that I'm just kind of like questioning myself on. I know, me and my number ones. Chat, I would like to remind you I'm very bad at subjective judgments. But I think the thing that like is I roll around in my mind is like I really don't know where we're at with like the pace of the game. I think we're still early because we're on like tier 2 armor-ish, I think.
Yeah, because we made the makeshift, we made the forge, we're getting stuff for the flat heel armor, and we haven't been able to upgrade any of the armors we got in the hands of it, so we still have to be pretty low on the armor tier.
And like I think a lot of the new weapons we're unlocking are you were talking about this at the end of last session is like side grades. Like I think that the tech scepter is not necessarily better. Like it's a little bit less damage than the thermal hammer, or thermal sledge, whatever it's actually called. But I think the main idea is one of them is, you know, shocky stunny damage. One of them is, you know, set on fire type damage.
Yeah. Also
so it's like
as, you know,
different stuff. And it's like I'm still trying to like parse out what the curve is supposed to be. 'Cause like, you know, second tier type stuff, pretty good at like the normal pests and peccaries. Even the if I get like a sprint attack in on one of the normal Axors, who were the first guy we ran into that was like, oh my god, he teleports and he shoots lightning. If I get like one good sprint attack, I think I'd down those guys with the thermal sledge. But then you run into like the order guys with machine guns and sniper rifles, and it's like that hurts. Even with the forge set bonus where bullets sometimes bounce off, it hurts, man. We got shot up a lot last night.
Well, like I think this is like one of my things. It's like I'm usually like this is one of the reasons why I decided to play fucking house husband in the game is because Loth goes herring off. Omega wants to get shit done. And I'm just all like, I don't know, man. I usually take a more slow, methodical approach to this. So I'll just wait back at home and, you know, be bait for the fucking Layak.
I think I usually also prefer a more methodical approach. But like you said, I like to get stuff done. I can just zone out and talk, but I do also get antsy if I feel like I'm just, like, I would probably start literally running in circles in-game. So, like, if Loth's going off to figure out the thing, I'm like, well, I should go see the thing too, right? You know,
yeah.
It's just one of those moments of like I don't really know what to do with myself if we're not doing something. I think my job is the paratheoretical physicist with like I think my best skills were like crafting and throwing. So like I think I'm supposed to be out there doing field stuff.
I went through the door of Oblivion, so I got reset to nothing.
Maybe
man, Axe, you missed it. We started using mud grenades. It was some of the most hilarious shit.
Yeah, you want to talk about tearing up on stuff. That is something that's true. The mug nades are like fucking killer. Those will blow somebody's ass up.
I think the first time I used it, I think it was like just on a dude, and just the concussive force just flung him into the wall, and he just went splat. And it was like, oh my god, it was so
we
good.
juggled a few guys. There was also some funny where at one point Loth was like, "Oh, I think that guy I exploded disappeared." And I was like, "What guy? You mean me?" Because I think he said after he underhand threw it, so he hit me. I don't think it hurt that much, but yeah, it's one of those games. It's like I said, when we're playing group games, I like to be a team player. I like to be, doing group stuff. And if we're in a space where we can truly go off and do all our own thing, like Vintage Story, that's cool too. Like, I have no problem just like head down, lock in, get in my lane. But doing something like Abiotic, where it's kind of like, you need resources and stuff, we can... It's kind of the thing where it's like, well, if I'm not doing something, I'm just kind of here, drinking soup, right? I'm not doing anything. We gotta contribute. So kind of like gotta get out there.
No, I can understand that, but it's like I said, like with you, like here's the problem. Like I don't have the employee locator, so anytime I go with you guys, if I don't have one of you guys in like my sites, you would just go off, and I'm like, where'd you guys go? I'm lost. Help.
Some of that I think is just the way the game is, because like even with the employee locator, I would have that problem with the rest of you sometime too. Like, it's really sad we only have 2 trinket slots. Because, like, there have been times where, like, I would just be, like, minding my own business, or we'll be all grouping up to try and explore stuff, and like, I'm like, ooh, a resource, and then I turn around and I'm like, oh, shit, where the fuck did everybody go? Because, we would have been grouped up, but you would have, been like, whatever, Omega will get that crate, go down to the end of this corner, oh, turn, go down the other end of the corner, it's like, shit, we're gone.
No, like I said, this is like the problem with Loth. Is Loth will just be like, ooh, and just go places.
Yeah, like we said, Loth is just the go guy. It's like, God, there was a point when we did kind of corral and we're just kind of like trying to figure out what we were doing next, and like he was just beating his head against the wall. Part of it, I think, is because he felt responsible because he like. I called him a little future seer, obviously, because he'd been playing solo, so he knew some stuff ahead of time. And like, so he was like, I know where to get one of these resources, but it wasn't quite exactly where he remembered it. So I feel like he felt kind of responsible to be like, well, I promised the guys resources, so I'm going to smack my head until we figure this stuff out. No, I think I need to take a break from Abiotic for today, though. I'm like seeing it when I close my eyes, man.
Well, Law's going to a birthday party today for that, so probably not. I guess
that's okay. I can. Speaking of actually, I had a completely separate thought before we did get slightly interrupted by having to figure out what Axe meant by that. We were talking about like indie games and stuff. I did actually get to play a little bit of Coral Garden today.
Oh,
one of the PlayStation
I keep forgetting
Plus
about
games
that one.
That. I believe it was Aaron who said he would think of it as kind of like a Stardew clone. It really is, like, we are at a point where Stardew Valley is so successful. There are clones. It is doing a different thing with, like, the art style. It is, like, fully 3D models, and has kind of an Islander aesthetic going on. Your character moved from Pokio to Coral Island.
Pokio, huh?
Yeah, so it's like, vaguely Pacific Ocean-y, with a lot of the art design and stuff. But it's like, it really is a Stardew clone. Like, it's a Stardew-like. You get a farm that is full of crap. The mayor hands you some random seeds and tells you to go. It's like, divided up into, X number of days in a season. Seeds are seasonal. The general store guy is already planning to sell me a backpack upgrade I desperately need. Shit like that. So I'm like, okay, that's neat. It still seems fun. And it does seem like there is going to be, the eventual, like, Stardew-esque aspect of, like, combat and stuff. Don't know how exactly we're going to work that out, but the island is covered with, mystical statues and stuff. So, but yeah, it's definitely, like, in that vein of a Stardew clone. I'm just like, okay, neat. We'll try it out. Like I said, it at least has an art style to its own. But yeah, that I think is to kind of put a bow on that topic. That feels like that is sometimes kind of like the indie game move, which is like a lot of indie games are either, oh, I remember this game from my childhood. Literally with Stardew, for instance, that was, hey, they haven't made a Harvest Moon in the style I'm looking for in a while. Or it's, hey, Stardew Valley was pretty cool, but, and I don't even know how, it's like published by like Hello Game. Was it Hello? No, it's not Hello. Was it Humble Games? There we go. It was an H. So I think it's like technically like published by the guys who like run Humble Bundle. But it definitely seems like a team went like, Starter's pretty cool, but what if we got a 3D modeling team involved? There's your semi-free talk in the middle of your mailbag chat.
Mm-hmm. But we did talk. We did tangent wildly on this, talking about surrogate fighter games and animes.
Where's my indie game retro clone explosion of monster games? I guess Pal World was kind of that. Those guys were like,
yeah, but remember,
I don't even know how
like I said, that's supposed to be more of an Arc clone than like.
It's true. It is actually an Arc clone than a Pokemon clone. Also, I don't even know how game development tiers work these days. Like, Palworld got invested in by Sony, so are they like AA, AAA, single A? Are they B? Do we have B tier games? Is that how this works? I don't fucking know, man. B plus. It's like a gacha game rarity inflation. Ah, yes, this is an SSR developer. This is an ultra rare developer. What? Hold on. What game was it? Somebody tried to claim they were making the first quadruple A game. Was that Ubi with Assassin's Creed? It was Ubi. I don't know if it was Assassin's Creed or not. Ubisoft needs to be careful about. I think Ubisoft's games are okay. I think they need to stop talking to people about games. Some of those guys have eyes bigger than their mouths. I don't actually know if Rockstar called GTA 6 a quadruple A game. I think they're just saying that GTA 6 is GTA 6, man.
So, let's move it. Oops, on it. This next one comes from, I can't think of a witty alias. Well, you put something, so that's fine. Some people just use the same one over and over again. But they say, hey guys, with the inevitable FGO2, excuse me here. Hey guys, with the inevitable FGO2, don't think that you'll be able to port some/all of your servants, ? As a game developer, I can see them wanting us to re-roll everyone, but as someone who spent a lot of money on my current roster, it feels bad to see them go away. What's your thoughts? Thanks, and have a good weekend. So, my thoughts on is, honestly, well, for one, they'll not be able to port the entire servant roster over into FGO2. That'll be a lot of work. That'll be, and depending on how the systems are, they might not be able to use the same lines. They won't be able to use the same assets. All that stuff. That's a lot of work to start, FGO2 with a servant roster of, God, how many servers are in FGO right now?
It's over 300 in JP. I think it might be over 350 in JP even.
I feel like it's over 400, but I could be wrong.
I don't remember if we've crossed the 400 list. We might have, yeah.
But
FGO's not super crazy with new units, but they do come out fairly regularly.
We come out. So I would definitely like to have some sort of, what's the way I want to say this? Like, I don't know if it'd be necessarily we're at 451 servants. Jesus, alrighty.
Okay, so we just crossed 450. All right, damn. Yeah, it's way too many to consider a launch roster.
No, but we should definitely consider maybe some more fan favorites in the initial roster. Maybe, consider a, pick your five, pick a few servants to start with, as well as having, a starting roster of those well-known ones, or, popular ones. Because in a lot of games nowadays, you don't just get, one or thing. You usually get like quite a few to start with. Especially if they do the thing that I'm hoping for, and we stop fucking around with like so much with the stars and rarity, and maybe condense that so it's a little bit easier to get servants and whatnot. I think that would be better. Like I said, I also don't want to necessarily have FGO do a returning master kind of thing for, that'll give people bonuses, because that does not necessarily incentivize new people to pick up the game. Lucky
I think FGO already has enough of an issue with that one.
Yeah, no. So we're rather, just everyone kind of start at the same playing field, but we do basically get to pick. We basically get I wouldn't say a fan favorite, but a well-regarded list of like, I would love to start the new game with like whatever the new game's version of Castoria. Not because Castoria is a meta unit, but it is basically FGO's almost original Castoria.
She is our iconic Artoria and is the big winner of the game. She's been the most used servant by everybody for like 5 years, 6 years out of 10.
It's like start the game with maybe Tamamo Cat, because she's the FGO exclusive servant. Tamamo, like, trust me, I love Tamamo. I love her to death. I just told her I got to bomb 15, but she is kind of the, one of the icons of, Fate Extra. So I wouldn't mind her returning to it, Tama
and
Cat
I do
is,
think around when Samurai Remnant came out, Natsuo Takuji talked about how they selected, and they did say, I think, that their kind of vibe is like the Tamamo 9 kind of appear separately so that there's a unique one to each, different entry in the franchise. Cat obviously is original to FGO. Audio was for Samurai.
Yeah.
And not necessarily they're gonna cross over. Yeah, no, I think that just generally kind of like how like Girls Frontline 2 did it, where like you start with a couple of basic units, you've got your 1x of at least, a couple of servants automatically, not just MASH, but, it depending on your team comp, a couple. And then, have a decent selection of units you can roll from the fan favorite pool. And then you can, you can introduce new characters, but also do the old game hype, because that is a major factor in Exilium and Girls Frontline 2 is like, oh shit, it's the UMP sisters. Oh my god, one of them has a big boss arm now. Like it is kind of like that when you see an old favorite versus, also like just occasional originals. Big winner in Girls Frontline 2, I think, is Colfine. She's brand new, but is also like, big source of memes.
Mm-hmm. So
like, give you a couple rosters. I would also kind of expect that they probably wouldn't do like, they might, but they probably wouldn't do like how FGO started. And I would imagine that given the way these games work, they're probably going to have their schedule of limited unit banners planned out.
Yeah.
And probably drop a couple, soon, which could also be another chance for classic returning FGO characters. It's kind of funny because like, FGO kind of started with, I almost said leeching. That's not the right word. That's all the same franchise, but kind of like borrowing the hype from other franchises. Like, our very first limited servant banner was Gilgamesh, like FGO 2 doesn't have to do that. Like you can accomplish that same thing with a Musashi or a first Hassan or, God help us, some iconic recurring, story-related units like some variety of Leonardo da Vinci or Sherlock Holmes banner, right? You can get the same hype now from old-timers. Morgan, obviously, another giga-huge iconic character. And like you said, Castoria, I think, is one of those like major iconic selections. So I would imagine them coming back to some of the well there. The question is, what do we do with MASH?
Well, I think like again,
Office Lady MASH?
FGO 2, I think some people are like split on what they want. Me personally, I want a continuation of our story right now because I do not want to necessarily start fresh with all my bonds, with all my things. I definitely want to do like the Girls Frontline 2 again. Maybe there's been some time, maybe there's been some distance, but once again, the axis of fate has, turned towards me.
Not to mention that like we've talked about this before, but FGO's Part 2 is very weird about time.
Yeah.
So like the 5-year time skip for sure is built into the game. Just actually catch up on time and we're going to move forward 5 years. God help them, the 10-year time skip would be pretty easy to pull off.
No, also because I would definitely I'm getting older. I'm gonna hit like 40 in like 2 years. I appreciate older protagonists now. It's like, we don't have to be fucking teenagers for everything. I don't mind being a teenager, but we don't have to be a fucking teenager for everything, guys. We don't.
Honestly, we'd see what, Nasu or whoever Nasu got writing an FGO 2 on it, but I would imagine that just generally the way trends are is that is kind of where the audience is, You could be ambiguously 20-something. No, that's
if
really
we were ambiguously 20-something, I'd be happy with that.
I'm pretty sure, like, drinking and smoking references are usually the teen zone of rating. Depends on your market. Like, there are some markets that are very strict about that kind of stuff. But, like, the as a rating thing, I think that's why the main character can't drink alcohol, because they're supposed to be somewhere in their teenage years, and the game doesn't really want to unpack your age issue with the time crunch. So you don't drink alcohol because that would be a big no-no to underage drink. and probably would get the attention of Google and other shit like that. But I mean, they do kind of like your master has comments about it. Like if you're in part 2, where you're like, you don't think you're over the drinking age, so you don't want to drink. But certainly, I think a lot more of the style of games that are coming out are a lot of the protagonists are like ambiguously in the 20-something zone.
Maybe in the 30s.
Maybe depends. But like. Well, I'm actually pretty sure, funny enough, talking about Girls Frontline 2, I'm pretty sure the commander is supposed to be a 30-something now because we did a 10-year time skip.
Yeah.
So you were a young, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed 20-something. Now you're, a jaded 30-something. Haunted. I mean, here's the thing. Patron Chat's talking about the delay between Lost Belts. Some of the Lost Belts, there's no delay. Like, in story. I'm pretty sure we literally drove, which may or may not have taken us some time, but we literally drove from LB3 to LB4 because it had some shit we needed. Like, did we return to the Wandering Sea? I don't remember.
Well, like I said, the timey-wimey stuff is fucking timey-wimey, and we probably shouldn't think too much about it. But, again, for FGO2, I would like a continuation of our story, just post-time skip. Give us like 10 or so servants, that our fan favorites that we like. Again, I'm hoping that we like redistribute the fucking power level bloat.
Yeah, the rarity
that we have. So and maybe
like
condense it a bit so we do not have to rely so much on specific units.
I would like a 3-phase rarity. Just cut it down to like bronze, silvers, and golds. Because I think there's something to be said for Fate. One, for the utility of low rarity units. This was a whole conversation on Twitter like a week or 2 ago. But also, Fate's one of those franchises where, like, you can get some dog-ass servants who are super weak, like Billy Shakespeare canonically is, but they can also fuck your shit up.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's even a plot point in CCC, right? Everybody thinks Kiara is the servant because Anderson does magecraft to support her like a master because he's really should not be a servant. He's so terrible stat-wise. That's like, I think, part of Fate's vibe, but also Fate has Giga Super OP Gilgamesh characters. The summoning system truly is like the gacha. Some days you get Sasaki Kojiro, some days you get Hercules.
So I think that's probably enough on that time. Kind of tangented a little left and right there on it, but it's okay. It's okay. So we're going to go on to last but not least, it's Agent 418 who says, "Hello, Lucky Omega. P.S. Have a good weekend, y'all." Well, hello to you too, and thank you. I hope your weekend's gonna go fabulous. My weekend is probably gonna go okay until Sunday, when we're gonna do more rain. That's the highlight of my week. We're gonna talk more about rain later. Don't you worry.
It's gotten pretty cool week.
But
yeah, we can worry about rain. Many things.
That's the mailbag.
That's
Woo.
the bag of mail. Good job. Butt pats all around. It's time for free talk. This time it's my turn to start with a mea culpa. I know this is my usual thing, but in my defense, I did have kind of a goofed up week. I think I said last week that we would do Fan Servant Friday, that would be fine. Completely slipped my mind, so I did not double check it until literally today, so I'm not prepped at all. I can tell you it was Artemisia 1, who is a famous Peloponnesian era naval captain. And in case you can tell from the name, a lady, an actual lady, no gender flip. But yeah, I didn't prep at all. That's my bad. I completely forgot to do that. I was like, so obviously the front half of my week was bamboozled, and today I was so like zeroed in on, yes, it's time to prepare for the pregame for Grand Tour. And then that was kind of easy. Slipped my mind. But I have the results. We'll run it again, and we'll get the Patreon poll up probably once we get that episode out next week. So once again, sorry about that. I'm sure we'll get you plenty in depth, and you can learn about ancient naval warfare. Fun fact, mostly involved ramming. Funnily enough, just poking boats full of small holes doesn't do anything. The boat is designed to float. You need to either cause a very big hole or do something funny, like set their boat on fire. Or, I believe the ancient Greeks and Persians would also do the trick of throwing urns full of poisonous snakes at the other person's boat.
That's
very mean to the snakes, yes.
Yeah, I know. What do snakes do? Fuck.
But it is the kind of thing that it's like, you're trapped on a boat full of poisonous snakes, and it's like, well, What am I going to do? I can't swim. That's why setting the boat on fire works. But we can do the pregame for Great Spirits World Tour. This will be a relatively short pregame because this event is super straightforward. As far as I can tell, unless the wiki has, for 2 years forgot to add some details, it's just time gates. There's no points ladder. There's no, special currency farm. Just every day or so, we're going to unlock a new story chapter and unlock a new free quest.
Woo!
So, super straightforward. This comes with a very common style of warning that we're seeing these days. You only need to clear Fuyuki to participate, but it says it will have story spoilers up through Tunguska. I don't know where that puts our previous summer in terms of story relations, because that felt very clearly post-LB6. But, I guess Tunguska is the marker of where we cut that off, right? But this is going to be 8 acts that are numbered, a prologue and an epilogue. This will net you 8 Saint Quartz, a 3-star craft essence, and a grail. On your journey, you're going to be accompanied through these main quests by the likes of Voyager, Eris, Summer, Kremheld, funnily enough, Yagi Munenori, Taisui, Sunta, and of course WANDJINA. Actually, also I realized I wrote Voyager in my notes twice, so let me double check that I didn't mean to write a different character twice, or if that's the correct collection of servants. Because, fun fact, I normally say it at the end, but because it's so direct, that's basically the list of bonus servants as well. It's those listed servants plus Rasputin and MASH. So a eclectic collection. But let me check event bonus. No, okay, I just wrote Voyager twice. But yeah, Altera the Sunta's in this list, so we do have a couple of welfares between her and Taisui, but that's cool. I think you and I last week were literally talking about how, man, we should get more Altera in this.
Yeah, it was.
But damage bonus is very simple. Everybody is 50% damage up and 20% bond up, except for WANDJINA, obviously, is the brand new servant. She's 100% damage and 50% bond up. Mash, of course, is bond up for your team, not herself. And quest shouldn't be too tough. This is a technically Fuyuki clear event. Most are 150k or less max HP. There are a couple of gimmick fights. I do want to point out a couple of them. The primary one here is, first of all, in Act 5, you got to do a WANDJINA solo fight versus an assassin enemy who's got about 630k HP. They get 1 hit, one turn of evade every single turn, and at about 50% of their HP, they get a 1-turn invul. So, I don't know, I guess we're just stalling it out. Act 8 is a little complicated. This has 3 battle pips, all of which kind of have their own weird, unique thing. The first battle is against 6 different waves. All of the classes are assassins. It's similar to one of the fights in the Morgan Cup and also some of the advanced quests. So basically, you need to slurp up buffs by defeating specific enemies to go into the finale. The final enemy is an assassin who has 80%-ish resistance to critical and NP damage. But the main gimmick here is every time you kill an enemy, all others are defeated, so you probably only get 1 buff per wave. One of the waves of buffs, though, is literally ignore the final enemy's, NP, or ignore the final enemy's critical resistance. So, just observe their buffs, pick and choose correctly. This fight will affect the epilogue fight, but I'll explain that when we get there. The second battle is you got to put Summer Erise in the front row, and you got to fight a bunch of Vorpal chickens.
The chickens!
Each Vorpal chicken will give you a buff or debuff on who kills it, depending on which chicken dish it is. That's right. It's chicken dishes.
Chicken dishes!
So it's like, chicken tandoori versus like Kung Pao chicken type shit.
Oh shit, I want some Kung Pao chicken.
But some of them, like I said, will give you debuffs. Some of them will give you buffs. Just pay attention to who you're killing when, and you should be okay. The final battle is kind of not real. You gotta fight WANDJINA and I think it's Taisui and Voyager, because this is a matchup that comes up later. The main thing is you do gotta deplete just WANDJINA's first HP bar. She's got about... Oh, what is it? It's a lot of HP for the relative difficulty of this. It's not actually that much. It's only 100k. Oh, it's Taisui and Altera Sunta are the other enemies. They have sub 100k here, but like I said, they don't matter. You just have to defeat WANDJINA's first break bar, but she's going to do the thing where she's going to remove all her debuffs and instantly charge her NP to max. Her battle will end after her NP fires. So, you gotta do 100k damage and then live. Don't die. The classic strat. And the epilogue will take 2 forms. I assume based on the way it's listed, based on how the first battle in Act 8 went whether it's if you took less than 12 turns or more, or 12 turns or more. So there's a little flag set here. Again, the wiki doesn't specify how this order works, so I assume it's the first fight is the first condition if you did it in less than 12, and the second fight is the second condition. Kind of cute that they give you a couple different options here, but the first version of this is NPCs only. It's WANDJINA, Taisui, and Voyager versus a 900k Siegfried. No seals or mystic codes. You do get story buffs. The other version of this is solo Siegfried versus WANDJINA, Voyager, and Taisui, all of whom have about 200k HP, with you get buffs. And specifically, if you get to turn 3, you get to remove all debuffs and charge NP to 300%.
Oh.
So, like I said, I assume this is, if you cleared the first fight super fast, you get the tougher fight to chew through 900,000 of Siegfried with no class advantage, because that's 2 forwarders and an alter ego. If you do it slow, you get the softball version, but just keep that in mind. Again, shouldn't be super hard, but this is the one you got to do for your Grail, so you may need to work on that a little bit. Free quests are all monoclass. They're all pretty straightforward. The final 3-3-3 one is a Lancer one, max HP of a mere 127k HP. If you want to go bigger, you've got a 3-1-3 of Casters. Maximum HP is 230 to 240k. So you got a boss wave who's like 230 in the middle, and then the third one is like 240. So you'll need to arrange some kind of single target one. But, you know, with Casters weak to Riders, there's probably somebody you can figure that shit out. And then the big ultimate final node, 90 plus, is 111. It's a Berserker with 275k, a Berserker with 382k, and a Pretender with 800k. So, like, the first 2 waves, not too crazy. The final 1 wave, you might have to work on that one a little, but sure, somebody will make it work. You will be prosecuting these free quests to get currency drops from the shop. Purchasing in the shop will net you a fine selection of the following: your usual EXPs and foes, and materials such as ashes, hero proofs, more homunculi, seeds, horseshoes, fruits of immortality, snake gems, reactor cores, vestiges. You know we're going in on the vestiges, chat.
Probably, yes.
Bicorns, reverse scales, comet shards, Saber Lancer, Caster, Assassin statues. I also need all those statues.
Yes. God, yes.
Yeah, there are a couple of statues that some people last week pointed out in the comments are available in some of the Breached Earth quests, but I don't know if it's every single statue type. You get 3 lores, 3 crystallized lores in the shop, 5 copies of the damage CE. Holy shit, it's perfect. It's peak. Cinema, even. And yes, the CE is just the in-event advantage is 100 to 200% damage, but this one does have Jox de Mole on it and does do bonus damage to enemies who are cursed, so it's also got, you know, a funny meme potential. It's very similar to the one with Yang Guifei and Burn, so you want the CE as well.
Yeah.
There is a simple WANDJINA costume in the shop. You can also get some more of your Pilgrimage Festival leaves, your shiny leaf. And also, you have the ability to convert the gold currency to QP at the end. So, pretty robust shop, pretty simple. Your summon banners are going to be WANDJINA Kremhild and a Voyager Munenori. There are CEs for drops on both. I'm probably going to spend my current collection of tickets on the WANDJINA Kremhild banner and hope we can snipe Krem. But other than that, it really is that simple. I guess it's supposed to be kind of a breather after the intense Ordeal Call stuff, you know, with a Big Boy Story chapter, and Summer being... Don't know if intense... it's a little intense, story-wise. There was a lot of stuff going on. We did a lot of time loops. You did have, while not 3 different point ladders, you had a couple of different, literally 5, in fact, clubs to manage. So this one is just like, you're gonna read the story, do the event, farm some currency. Sorry, had a little... Yeah. But yeah. That is the pregame. Like I said, we got Wanted. We're like a week away, so we're not, 5-ish days. But we're not finalized on the script, but Wanted should be on time. We'll get in there, and we'll do plenty more. But that means it's time to move into the What's Up Zone.
Well, What's Up Zone? Everyone listening, we have passed the FGO zone, so we're going to be talking about whatever and whatever. Double whatevers.
Whatever, wherever. Yeah, we're going to do that now. At first I had to rack my brain a little because, like, the first 3 days of my week this week, just kaput.
Yeah.
I watched vintage story VODs and, hung drywall, cut PVC pipe, inhaled gypsum.
Mm-hmm.
The usual. But we have got a couple of things going on. One of which is at least first in my notes, so we can start there. But Lucky,
What's up?
sorry, I segued too hard. I poked my fucking mic arm, trying to double point at the non-existent Lucky. You've been talking about Owlcat's Rogue Trader RPG.
Yeah, no, I got it for my birthday. I have a friend, known him for like 20 years. He's one of those guys who, played a lot of tabletop with me, but he's also really big into Warhammer. And so he said, hey, I'm going to get you a game. What do you think? And I was all like, Rogue Trader. And he was like, perfect. He's not one of those people who...
The tiny little Aquila in his mind lights up.
Yeah, no. Well, actually, no, he's a fan of Necrons the most, so...
That actually literally works. Then it's the Necron pylon lights up ominously green.
But like he's also the one who got me to read I can't remember the title of it, but it's Gaunt's Ghost, the first book, which I did like.
Is the first book just first and only? I think it is.
I think it is first and only. Yeah, the Tanith, the first and only. So he got me to read that. So slowly but surely, he's getting that 40k knowledge put in my fucking head. But no, so I started playing Owlcat's 40k at Red Trader, and this is a game that I've been wanting because, unfortunately, when I look at a lot of people playing or talking about 40k, they're usually talking into very specific subjects, and I can very rarely keep up with it. Like I mentioned that I was playing it Wednesday on when we were streaming 14, and I was talking about how I'm trying to woo and seduce my latex goth girlfriend, and someone goes, oh, and King goes, oh no, not the Drakari. I'm all like, the who?
I can't believe he would say. No, I don't want to shame King. It's fine, and I don't know when he got into the franchise. It's probably been longer than I think it has since Games Workshop slipped to or switched to copyright friendly terms. I do recall when the branding was Dark Eldar versus Drukari, and it's like there are still some people who won't say it the other way. You're not gonna catch me saying Astra Militarum unless it's directly relevant.
No, so it's like, and me, I'm in the beginning of the game. Like I take that back. At that point, I hadn't run into any Drukari, but the Drukari had made an appearance such then, and I'm like, that's not who I was talking about. I actually went and looked up the companions to figure out who he was talking about, and that person isn't actually even a girl; they're a guy. So I'm double confused about what they were talking about. But it's just like one of those things of like, I don't know this setting, so I don't know all these things. So if you just start, spouting stuff about, fucking whatever Space Marine chapter is going on or whatever, it's just like, I don't know. Like, I'm still not familiar with how the Imperial Man works. I still know nothing about any of the Xenos. Nothing. Like,
that's not your fault. That's the fault of the fact that Games Workshop doesn't know what to do with Xenos, okay? I don't think... It's been so long since they fucking licensed a Xenos-focused game.
It's like, it's all Imperium of Man, and which is cool. I'm slowly working my way up. I'm figuring out what Astropaths are. I learned what the Navigators do. I understand National Guardsmen. I'm learning what Road Traders are. This is the kind of thing. I need to start from, low-end stuff and work my way up. And this is doing a good job, I think. Like I said, it's a CRPG, so guess what? It's all tactical squares and fucking, and all tabletop mechanics. You level up, you pick talents, you do stuff. For this game, I decided to do something I usually don't do, and I am just looking for builds online because, A, I don't know the system, so I don't care about it, and 2, I'm not so interested in the combat as I am figuring out what's going on, so I will just put a copy-pasted build there and go, and it works. Like I said, this is a computer game, which means it is math, which means that there is an optimal fucking solution to it. And people will figure it fucking out. Actually, found a rant earlier from the build guide that I'm using that talks about this, which I find very ironic considering this guy, underneath it, has posted a build guide. shared it with the rest of the cabal, so they may peruse it at their pleasure. Don't really need to talk about it too much, but yeah, no, it's just I'm gonna play the game with these builds, and once I get done with it, maybe I'll start getting a little weird as I actually understand the system and what's going on to it. But right now, I do not want to be stuck with choice paralysis and my fucking character leveling's up. I'm already gonna have enough of that doing the story. Which
narrative decisions. Well, and I do want to say, before we move away from that, I remember you've talked about the Alcat RPGs that are based on, like, Pathfinder, and finding those kind of tricky to play from a mechanical end, because you actually understand how Pathfinder works, and this was kind of in the rant, but, like, I feel like there's a limit with CRPGs where, like, it's all math, right? So it's all, you know, optimization, and there's no live GM to rebalance it. But, yeah, Axe just said it in chat. The first edition of Pathfinder was, you know, a nerds, you know, D&D 3.75. And some of the early designers were very keen on the kind of, like, ivory tower trap mindset, you know? Like, leaving in dumb things that newbies could take, that they could figure out that they didn't need to take later. So, like, that means there's a shitload of content, which means you gotta cut something, but that means that maybe you're cutting what people like.
Well, and here's the thing about, like those old systems, people love to make fucking min-max, you know, optimal, kill everything in one fucking turn builds, and then just run their entire campaigns just on that one thing. And when people can't do that, they get mad. That's why people always get real mad when, you know, like, that's why people got real mad about, I can't remember what it was, but was it D&D 5th ed or I can't remember, but they didn't allow third party like publishing and whatnot, so people weren't making the weird ass shit that people were used to. I can't remember, actually. Honestly, I'm probably messing it up.
D&D's gone through a couple of phases. One of them was the reason why Pathfinder exists is because they jumped to 4th ed and they said that they were going to tamp down on the third party licensing, you know, which spawned Paizo Publishing, you know, into an actual independent game developer, because they released a lot of third party content for 3.5, and so they were like, well, shit, our business model.
No, so,
Funnily enough, chat, D&D 4th edition is, once they got their math correct in the DMG, a super well-balanced mechanical game.
Yeah, but people don't like super well-balanced mechanical games. They want to break the fucking game open over the GM's back and win all the encounters in one turn.
It's true. Those people did move to pounds. No, 4th edition actually is, like, super well-balanced mechanically. I say that with the caveat, was it the first 2 versions of the monster manuals? Some of their math in the monster manuals was wrong. They just printed them with the wrong math, so like that doesn't line up. But otherwise, it is actually like a very, very mechanically tight system. And generally, a lot of the classes are kind of outputting the same damage. Some people don't like the fact that your fighter can do 3 weapon damage once per day type shit. And then 5th ed kind of does that again, but they did it differently. They made it so that it's not per day, it's per rest, and, you know, they changed stuff. But yeah, if you think of it as like a tactical game, because they were like way ahead of their time, like, because this was like super pre-virtual tabletop, it's very mechanically robust when it comes to fighting, and most people are pretty locked in. They changed a few lore things. I think people say they're upset about the lore stuff they changed, usually more so than they actually were, but it's very neat. But like I said, it was different enough mechanically, and at the time it was like a fork end up by miniatures, because everything was square based. People did shift to that because, like, I don't want to be too disingenuous, because I think current Paizo is actually like pretty good about stuff. I think old Paizo was definitely the, like, caster supremacy ivory tower, you know, busted ass game design. Like, they were that kind of tabletop gamers when they started. So, like, I think some of Pathfinder was like, this is gonna be your grandpappy's D&D. You're gonna have 4 hit points as a level 1 wizard. If you can live, you can fucking kill anything. Their second edition is very much more robust. But yeah, so, like, a lot of that game design is very hard to filter into CRPGs, because your programmers can only program so many things.
No, like the rant I was talking about talks about how CRPG removes the great balancing factor, the GM. Everything is predetermined and everything is built upon things that have already been decided in game. Your entire point of the CRPG is for you to stack as many buffs as you can on certain characters and let them go to town. Harder difficulties only means that you have to stack more buffs. That's it. And like honestly, like reading this rant actually helped coalesce one of the things I've always had problems with, like CRPGs, in that I never am able to solve a problem exactly the way I want because the game is always limited by the constructs of the game, and I'm too used to playing tabletop RPGs where if I want to do something fucking weird, I turn to the GM and say, Omega, I want to do something weird, and Omega goes, all right, talk to me. And then Omega will either go, and then Omega goes, okay, that's fucking weird, but it might work. Roll dice, or no, that's not gonna work. So no matter what, when I'm playing pen and paper tabletop, I can do weird little things that maybe not aren't the most efficient things, but still let me do weird little things. While I'm playing the computer tabletop RPG, I have to be good at combat. I literally have to be good at combat. If I am not good at combat, we are not getting through this fucking game.
Yeah, like, usually in these kinds of games, like, I remember playing a lot of Harebrain's very excellent Shadowrun games. Very neat, very cool. Some of those would let you, like, bullshit away encounters by using charisma as your god stat.
Yeah.
There were still quite a few forced fights in those games, and if you did not have some, at least with Shadowrun, you usually had a funny cadre of extra characters, some of whom would be combat builds. But yeah, no, you have to fight people. It's a video game that has a fighting engine built in. You must fight men.
It's like those things of like, I tried to play a fucking pacifist run and Skyrim. Like, I just took fucking God, what was was it an enchantment, the one that lets you calm people down, make them not want to fight, and just run them? That completely doesn't fucking work. You can't do that. You better pick up a fucking sword at some point and start whacking people, or you're not getting through this fucking game.
Todd Howard personally comes to your house and asks you, why wouldn't you kill that guy? You must kill him. That's the only... You literally can't arrest people. You have to kill him.
Yeah, and I'm just like, okay. It's like I tried playing, was it Wrath of the Righteous? Like, I just wanted to play an illusionist and just be all like, no, I'm not here. I stealth my way through everything. Fuck this shit. Doesn't work. And I'm just like, God! And so it's like one of those things of like, I play CRPGs and I'm just all like, I am not actually getting the optimal experience out of this, but there generally is a pretty good damn story in these games. And like I said, like with, I can't remember, is it Kingmaker that was the first one? Was it Kingmaker? I think that was the name of it.
I think it was Kingmaker first, yeah.
Yeah. With Kingmaker and
then Path of the Righteous.
Path of the Righteous. Wrath of the Righteous.
Let me know, chat.
I think it was Wrath of the Righteous. Like, I've played Pathfinder enough that I've seen, like, the levels and stuff. I see when something's missing. I'm all like, okay, so I'm already having problems here. They don't give me all the options that I'm used to in Pathfinder. And guess what? Because I'm being railroaded onto specific scripted solutions, I do not necessarily get to engage in the way I want. So generally, even though I did like the stories that was happening in Kingmaker and Wrath of the Righteous, I wasn't having fun with them mechanically. Generally, the narrative decisions are okay, but some that like you're still usually picked to like 3 or 4. If you have listened to me play tabletop with Omega and the boys, you will know Lucky is an idea man. It is maybe not always the most crazy batshit plans, but I usually have a plan. I usually have several plans. I usually have several options and things. So seeing my narrative options being boiled down to one of 3 options, which are usually tied to whatever reputation I am going on, I'm just a little always like, okay.
Pick the red, blue, or green, Lucky.
No. Rogue Trader also has that, but I do like it how it is not... Well, it's kind of black and white, but also not. And Rogue Trader, we have Dogmatic, Iconoclast, and Heretic. Where actually, let me pull it up. I have Rogue Trader open like right the fuck now.
Yeah, I was gonna say earlier I tipped away to refill my water, but I still have my headphones on. But you mentioned it where like the narratives of these are usually good. That was my comment to the rant, which is like from the CRPGs and stuff I've played, usually the fact that you get to offload all the math parts, all that part of the game design into the computer, and it just does it means that you get to focus as the game designer on, like, the story and the character writing. I think that's the two things that, like, make or break a lot of CRPGs, because the combat is usually just math. Like, you know, think about, like, all the companions from these RPGs people find as being, you know, very, very iconic, whether it's, you know, something like Planescape Torment, or even, like, Shadowrun, Dragonfall, again, and Mercy, you know, very, very popular companion characters going on there and stuff like that. You know, you get to do the workout. But also, for sure, Kingmaker is a, like, adventure path for Pathfinder you can just buy. Like, it's just a campaign you can buy. I don't know if Righteous is. So, like, with Kingmaker, it's, like, computerizing a popular thing that you could play in tabletop, but also because it was like a nation building one, I bet it was a campaign that was really a pain in the ass to run because your GM has to keep track of all this bullshit in Pathfinder. Okay, so Wrath of the Righteous is also a campaign book. I'm pretty sure that Rogue Trader, while it's based on the Fantasy Flight, the now defunct, by the way, Fantasy Flight RPG, Games Workshop pulled that license years and years ago. Allegedly because briefly for like 1 year, X-Wing miniatures outsold 40K. But they're not pulling necessarily, because there are a couple of like pre-built adventures for it, but there's not like a whole pre-written campaign. So I would assume they're more just pulling from the specific fluff that was written for Rogue Trader, rather than like following an exact adventure path, you know?
No, it sounds pretty unique. Like I said, like I am just Joe Smo who kind of falls into getting a writ of command due to heresy. Heresy very bad, yo.
Exclamation point.
Yes. But yeah, no, like speaking of heresy, yeah, no, Rogue Trader has like 3 what do we want to call these? Do we have a specific pattern? Well, 3 paths. They're dogmatic, heretical, and iconoclast. I'll have you know, Lucky right now is iconoclast 2. Dogmatic 1, heretic 0. I have no points in heretical. How dare? But let me read out what they say right now. Dogmatic is belief in the holiness and infallibility of the laws of the Imperium, adherence to the precepts of the God Emperor and Holy Chosen Ones, carrying out his will to the ignorant and unruly masses, unfettered hatred of the enemies of mankind, be they traitors, heretics, xenos, or the servants of chaos. Heretical is devotion to the corruption and taint of the warp through total submission to the basest and darkest impulse of the soul, and constant worship to the ancient gods of the immaterium. Like I said, I have 0 points in this. I've seen some fucked up shit already. I don't know why anyone wanted to be part of that. I was like, yeah. I just saw a dude turn into a ferocious flamesman. I think it was like a Chaos Beast. I think it was.
Oh, yeah, probably. Yeah, I don't know, man.
It was great.
There's a very fine line where you get some cool shit if you follow Chaos, but I've always said that, like, Chaos as a faction is, like, they're the bad guys. Some people are like, no, they're secretly the good guys because the Imperium of Men sucks. No, in 40K, everybody's supposed to suck. That's why they fight constantly.
Yes.
You're supposed to have a reason why you never feel bad about having your little plastic spaceman fight somebody else's little plastic spaceman.
Listen, if Chaos is chaotic evil, the Imperium Man is just lawfully evil.
True facts. There's a classic meme image of the first edition Dark Heresy tabletop RPG rulebook, but instead of Dark Heresy, the text is replaced with Catholic Space Nazis, and it's like, yeah, I know that sounds like that should be an oxymoron, but no, that is kind of how the Imperium of Man works. Lucky just explained to you what dogmatic is like. You know, it's like, yeah, no, those guys are like real on their shit. No, they are a horrible machine of oppression because that's how they survive in a universe where the alternative is space is trying to eat your soul.
Oh no, like Axe is like sometimes some dogmatic options are better ideas at the time because how fucked the world is, and I'm just all like, yeah, no, like I said, I'm dogmatic 1. Do you know how I got dogmatic 1? I fucking had to blow up a goddamn planet that was turning into a daemon world and kill everyone on it because I'm just all like, that can't become a daemon world.
Exterminatus.
That's bad. Burn it. But iconoclast is belief in the value of human life and freedom, faith in the power of goodwill, capable of overcoming the horrors and dangers of the universe without needing for artificial prohibitions, desire to seek out common ground and compromise rather than uncompromising destruction. And Lucky's like, I like the sound of that. And that's what I've been doing. like I said, I can't do it all the time. Like my character tries not to be a bleeding heart. Like at one point, because this is actually fun. Like you have a base of operations, you have a void ship. Mine is called the Languid Luxuria. But sometimes you have quests that takes you down into like the lower decks of that, and you can like talk to people because you have fucking entire clans of people living down in your void ship, thousands upon people, trying to keep the damn thing fucking running.
This is correct to the tabletop RPG, by the way. Warp travel is super scary. Probably about 50% of your time in the RPG is spent in your ship fixing shit or running down warp incursions or just like, oh shit, they put borders. There's like 1,000 dudes in the lower decks, Lord Captain. What do we do? Beat them with hammers.
But like at one point you go down there because the enforcers are talking. Basically, an enforcer comes up, being all like, "Oh my god, they're gonna fucking torch the decks just because." And you go down there and found out that someone found a fucking heritage trinket, so they want to basically kill everyone in the fucking deck over it. And I'm just all like, that seems a little extreme, don't you think? And they're like, no, like they're all vagabonds and thieves. You give them an inch, they'll take them fucking mile. And proceeds to beat dudes. I'm like, all right, stop that. But they're all like, yeah, you say that. We don't want any of your enforcers here, and we want you to give us guns. I was all like, no. It's like, I'll stop the enforcer beatings, but you ain't getting free reign in the fucking decks. So I try to help my common man in this game, but I'm not gonna, just bend over backwards for them. So I said, I'll probably try to max out Iconoclast in my game.
That
I'll
seems
try
like
to
a pretty good model for Iconoclast. Like there's a similar in lore kind of split in how the Inquisition is supposed to work. I talked about this in tabletop earlier. Rogue Trader is a really good RPG for Alcat to jump in on for this concept because. Yeah. The guys in your lower decks, if you were just playing, one of the deck swabbing clan, you don't got a lot of choice in your life. You're a deck swabber. No. You were born in the deck swab, you will die in the deck swab. Probably when a horrible piece of space junk in the Immaterium rends open the ship and you're sucked into hell.
Or something just fucking breaks in the fucking ship and no one came down to fix it because we don't have the parts or no one fucking figured it out in time. I was looking throughout my ship. The thing is I do not know how these ships run.
It's because they're fucking they're ancestral antiques. Your ship is an heirloom, probably. It probably built 1,000 years ago. But yeah, that guy doesn't have any choice. A rogue trader, you mentioned it. You've got the warrant of trade, your writ of command. Technically, the way that works is the rogue trader is a peer of the High Lords of Terra, who are the guys who run the Imperium while the Emperor is confined to his Golden Bone Throne. So that means that technically nobody can tell you what to do, which is a great way to build a player character because that means that you actually have the power to make narrative choices.
Oh yeah. No one stops and that tells me to do anything. They, God, there's even an Inquisitor who is just he didn't let me have my way, but he was very I was like, yes, excellent.
I mean, his recourse is he has to call the Lords of Terror and get them to sanction you, You're outside of his command structure, but also he was outside of your command structure. I'm sure you couldn't just be like, Inquisitor, fuck off.
Yes, I could not tell him to fuck off.
And he's like, no, I'm inquisiting here. And that's I said that was the other example of how you could do independent authority is if you were an actual Inquisitor, is if you had with the rosary and everything. That would actually give you the power to be yes, I'm here to Holy Inquisit. Show me everything? What's that? You refuse to show me everything? Heretic, shoot him.
Die!
Bang, bang, bang. Laser noises, chainsaw sounds. But so Rogue Trader is a perfect example of that. And it is kind of one of the things where that is one of the games that in the tabletop form, you actually have the ability to do some very interesting things. We mentioned it as an aside, but you can pick up a couple of actual Xenos crewmates. And in the RPG, I believe there were rules where you could play Kroot mercenaries. They're a species of birdmen who eat brains and have black powder muskets, but they track real good. You can play. I'm pretty sure they had rules for playable Eldar, like Corsairs. Because
I think in this game there is an Eldar that you
there's an Eldar Pathfinder you can pick up. There are some space elves who are just kind of space pirates, and then there are dark elves who are, what if we were space pirates cosplaying Hellraiser?
Yeah, no. The Drakari are doing some shit in this game, and I have no idea what it is.
It's bad. Whatever it is, it's super bad. It's double bad, actually. It's very
Double
bad. If you
it
see
is
them,
very
shoot
bad.
them.
I probably should.
But the other one that's very funny is you could play an orc freebooter, because technically orcs just work for whoever's the biggest and the strongest and the fightiest. And that's the thing, because rogue traders have the warrant of trade, they have the authority from the God Emperor himself to explore unexplored space, learn about aliens, and, like, see if there's any resources that could be valuable to Holy Terra. So, you could do whatever. Like, that's how you get to recruit Xenos in-game. And it's, like literally the only one of the RPG line that allows that. So, like, like I said, it was a super great pick. You know, they gave you the start where you just kind of stumbled into the warrant, so you can just kind of, like, figure your shit out.
No, so I like it as, like, a good onboarding part for the RPG, like, because unfortunately, I hang out with a lot of people who really like 40k, and, like I said, no one's really, like, pushing on me for, like, the 40k, no one's going, look, you need to learn about this, you need to read about this. But there are several times where people will just get into 40k talks, and I'm just all like, I have no idea what's happening here.
It's true. It's a very big world. Like, you know, I could spin some recommendations, like Dawn of War, they just did that remaster, very classic game, but is also kind of like, it is a Space Marine campaign. You know, you start as Blood Ravens, and you're just like, yes, for the Emperor, we must seize this stuff. I think Space Marine 2 is a really great game, but you talked about, like, onboarding, right?
Yeah.
Space Marine 2 has jack shit for onboarding. It's entirely based on vibes. You start the game as a Deathwatch Marine. All of your buddies die before you even show up. Like there's 4 of you in the dropship. You get thrown out, and just you only ever hear them on radio, Vox, sorry, and find their corpses. And then you get, like, basically turbo killed by a Tyranid fighting in mano a mano, and then literally you wake up and, like, a Space Marine chaplain, a Space Marine priest is like, you would have died except we performed the Rubicon surgery on you. You are Primaris now. And that's it. He doesn't explain either of those things. You just know that you died, and now you're a foot taller, you're covered in scars, and they're like, okay, you're a lieutenant now. Here's your 2 guys. I mentioned earlier, Captain or Lieutenant Titus is the player character, you know, he's the viewpoint. I think they added the character of Sergeant Gadriel just so he could, like, ask you to expound, and then Titus doesn't. Sir, what was your service of the Death Watch like? Hard work. Thank you, Lieutenant Titus. Your wisdom honors us. So, like, yeah, no. Like, I think Space Marine 2 is super cool. I've heard people say the co-op campaign is really neat, so if you did ever want to pick it up, we could jam out. But at the same time, it's like, it is just kind of like, you just roll with the vibes, and, like, you don't really need to know, like, anything more than just, here, gun, there, alien, shoot, you know? But there is certainly a mystery about it where, like, obviously Titus knows more about what's going on than he says to the other characters, but that's kind of part of the narrative. But it's just, like, a lot of time you're just kind of, like I said, like, just doing stuff.
No. So...
The captain says, sorry, I'm working on a joke in my head. The captain says, Titus, dude... Sorry, he's Scottish, so I have to say it like this. Lieutenant Titus, do this. We're gonna fucking die in, like, 48 hours if we don't do something about this. Titus is like, give me 8 men, I'll get it done. You can have 6. Okay. Space Marine 2. You usually get combinations of 3 because it's you and 2 AI buddies in the main campaign, and then usually teams of 3 in the PvE co-op missions. Funny how that works out.
But with Rogue Trader, like I said, like, I'm not worrying too much about mechanics. I'm just following the build. It's fun. The narrative choices, while limited in scope, are still interesting, and I am being entertained with the main overarching story. I don't want to necessarily spoil it for people who haven't played it or may want to play it.
Yeah, it's
there's
still
plenty of there's still plenty of things. I did pick up both the season passes because, like I said, someone got me the game, and I was looking at it, and I saw one of the characters in the DLC, and I was all like, "Shit, I want her! She's a death cult assassin, and she does a lot of cool things with blades. I love her." Actually, honestly, I love most of the companions right here. They're all quirky in their own fun little way. Some of them are romanceable. No surprise to anyone, the sister of battle is not, which is okay. She's
R.I.P.
very cool. Excuse me?
Is it RIP slightly?
Slightly, a little bit, but I'm okay with it. I have noble book nerd Cassia and bloodthirsty, latex girlfriend. How do you pronounce this? Cabela. Yeah, I'm gonna say Cabela. It's Cabela to cry on right now. Also, just in general, I like all the companions. Like one of the first ones you get is the Seneschal Abelard, who I love this like so much in the story. Anytime you like run into someone new, you can always go like, Abelard, introduce me to this man, and Abelard will just rattle off your fucking titles to this dude every time. I'm like, I love that. I love it so much. It's so dumb. Just having someone else introduce you constantly.
Yeah, I've heard of the many memes about Abelard as your seneschal, and it's very funny because as far as I know, he's just a guy.
No, he's just an old naval officer who got handpicked by the previous rogue trader in the service, and he's just a dude. He's an old dude. He's an old cool dude. Oh god, what does he keep saying? He has some of his his comments in battle are funny. Argenta, where are you? There you are, my girl. Argenta's great because she's a sister of battle, and she is one of she is full on dogmatic, one of the most bloodthirsty people in my group, but she has a soft spot for children and wants to help people when it's not heretical.
Honestly,
and so,
that's kind of what the Adeptus Sororitas are supposed to be like. Obviously, she's a sister of battle, so she's militant, but they are like a whole part of the imperial cult apparatus.
Yeah.
And I think most of them are saying she has a soft spot for children. I think most of them are picked from war orphans. So
it's like Cassia is a navigator. I had no idea about navigators until I picked up this game. So this was interesting in their fucking third eye, and this is like, oh.
She can see.
But it's great because she's basically a sheltered noble who basically lived her entire life on a station surrounded by books, and you get her off that fucking station. And so she plays like a noble, but she clearly is a book nerd, so anytime she can just exposit information, she does. I'm like, oh, that's great. Yeah, Axe talking about how Sister Argenta used to be the best character for just killing things, but she got nerfed. She's still pretty good at killing things. Like I said, I put a bolter in her hand. I gave her some talents to, let her rapid fire better. She can, if I can set her up properly, she still kills many things, but she can't do the one turn room clear like she used to.
Kind of the role of a sister of battle, yeah.
Also, this is what I talk about. This is what I talk about. People will literally break their games over GM's back. This is why things get nerfed, because people found a fucking thing that they can do really well. They tell people online, and then everyone starts fucking doing it, and now people aren't actually engaging with the game. They're engaging with this one specific maneuver to completely cheese through the fucking game. That's what happened to fucking Sister Argenta. Some people are mad. Some people are less mad. Me, I just fucking got here.
Yeah. Honestly, it sounds just like early game they had kind of it sounds like they had an end game scaling issue, basically. So it was like the only way to get anything done on time was to cheese it. So they removed the cheese, but also maybe rebalanced enemy encounters a little.
I don't know. Like I said, this was in that rant I was talking. I was talking about in that rant I was talking about. They say Owlcat games aren't hard; they're just tedious. Like I said, if things not going your way, fucking reload and start again. Maybe a little bit better. That's
kind of how I play most tactical RPGs. Like, we'll try and save it, but it's the thing of the battle's fucked. Okay, roll back to the top. Okay, let's try this shit again.
I sometimes roll it back. Usually not because of battle, because like I said, these builds are very good and they make my characters very effective what they do. But sometimes a narrative choice, I'd be like, no, actually, I didn't like that choice. Roll it back.
That's another classic of any narrative-driven RPG. You're just fucking clicking buttons, and then you just do something, and you're like, oh shit. Didn't want to do that. Let's try that. Let's reload that save. Let's pick a different option.
From the top. Like I said, I've had even if there's going to be 80 dudes in a fucking hallway, I'm not too in a single hallway. I'm not concerned because I do love this. I have totally had the enemies just kill their own teammates because they shot them in the back trying to shoot me, which is so great in my opinion. I usually try to take care not to shoot my own teammates. The enemies, they do not fucking care. They will totally shoot their teammates in the back. I have seen several enemies die. So if there's 80 dudes trying to shoot me, there's a good chance that they're gonna kill half of them They're gonna kill half of their own team member before they even
I'm
get to
pretty
me. So
sure
fuck
that's
it, bring
true to
it.
both the RPG and the war game, where you get penalties for firing when your friends are in close combat with somebody else. And also, I'm pretty sure the Fantasy Flight RPGs are one of the ones where you can. I mean, you know this because you've played Edge of the Empire and stuff like that. The Star Wars RPGs with the despair to shoot your buddies in melee. Pretty sure there's some crit failure options or some horrible misses you can make to accidentally plug your teammate in the back. Also very fun. While they're very very useful, especially in Dark Heresy, which is kind of like the power tier below Rogue Trader in the RPG. Dark Heresy and Rogue Trader and etc. RPGs are games with grenade scatter diagrams.
Ooh.
So if you fuck them up, you might do some very funny moves.
But like I said, I'm having a good time with Rogue Trader. I've actually, gotten past the prologue in chapter 1, and I'm still trucking along. Like I said, there's many more companions to get, many more quests to do, many more things to see, and many more things about 40k to learn. We'll get there eventually. I'll probably keep people updated. I do know that Rogue Trader does have a companion mode in it, so you can have your friends join you on that. Like if Omega ever picks it up, I'd probably you want to join on this. I'll build my own character and be all like, yes, hello, I am your friend.
You can try that. I'll keep it out. It's one of the games that I'll probably wait for a sale to pick up, but we'll keep an eyeball on it.
That's that was the thing. It is less of the companions, but some of the companions you just don't care about. Like Idara, I literally don't care about her. Fuck her. She can stay on the fucking ship for the rest of her life and talk about the warp and the voices you hear. And now she likes the voodoo.
Shocking nobody. Lucky, suspicious of the unsanctioned psyker.
Yeah, no, no, not about it. Lucky's probably gonna like the Elf Ranger.
If we play like Rogue Trader or Dark Heresy or something, you just know Loth is gonna roll the psyker.
He's gonna roll a psyker. He's gonna want to do. Remember we talked about Loth wants to be the funny little guy, so he wants to do the things that are funny.
I mean, if
unfortunately,
I think well, I should say this. I've always wanted to do a joke where if we play an only war campaign, I want Loth to play the regiment's commissar. So
that would also be funny.
He can be very funny. Because I think Loth is the kind of guy who would take that seriously, but also Loth would absolutely just go, oh, did some NPC just mouth off to me? Fuck him. Bang. But the funny thing about Only War is that has rules for Ogryn as like a special career job, very similar to the way they work in Darktide. But you can also play Ratlings, which is the 40k version of Space Halflings. Because remember, 40k is technically Space Warhammer, which is a fantasy game. Those guys are, great snipers, great sneaks. Also, they get technically they're abhumans, so they're a type of sanctioned mutant, but they get a racial bonus to cooking.
Oh, I want to play a Ratling.
It's very funny, yeah.
Cook.
It's a great little thing. So like I said, Only War is a very flexible game that I'd like to, because it has a whole like regiment creation section, so you get to like figure out your regiment's history, and all that stuff down. It would kind of be like that. I mentioned before, all of the RPGs have their own special quirks. Only War's thing is that you literally get red shirts. Like, normal characters get companions. So you have a comrade, I believe they're called. So you have an extra guy who's there to assist you. They can, do certain things to give you bonuses, get those plus 10s you need. But also, if you're going to take a lethal hit, you can be like, now my comrade takes it instead. Or, the GM might, pick off some of your comrades, kind of off screen, so you can get that kind of red or even mauve shirt effect where you read a Gaunt's Ghost novel or you read a Caiaphas Cain novel and half the Imperium characters just fucking bite it because they're Imperial Guard.
I do need to read more of Gaunt's Ghost, by the way. I did like the first one.
Yeah, I got a little. I need to finish rereading First and Only and then get back into it. I only ever read the first one in the series. But yeah, Only War's like that. But yeah, Dark Heresy or Rogue Trader, I would totally see Loth will probably play your navigator or maybe your astropath, your weird little psyker.
Excuse me.
But that seems so up his alley. And Axe asking if I don't think they have rules for. I don't think they have rules for nulls or psychic blanks.
I'm learning that Axe really likes nulls.
You can play some kind of death cultist. Not exactly like that. The DLC character, but it's funny that there's a cute, zealous death cultist murder girl assassin in Rogue Trader.
I love her.
because we got through 2 out of 3 Dark Heresy tie-in novels, like novels based on the Dark Heresy rulebook, and there is a, cute kind of perky goth girl, murder girl in the novels. I think there's like a little bit of flirtation with her and like I think the like ex Militarum guy. The crew also has a sanctioned psyker and just like their leader is like an ex Arbitas, like an ex cop kind of a thing. So yeah, we'll figure it out. But yeah, Rogue Trader sounds cool. Like I said, it's on my list to pay attention to. And I think let me Google it real quick. But I think they announced they're working on a second one. Are they working on a Dark Heresy? Yeah, they announced Dark Heresy this year.
Oh, okay, cool. I definitely need to get through this then.
Let me see what their blurb is. Embrace the role of an Inquisitor. See RPGs in 40k, investigate heresy, command a diverse warband, shape the fate in a story-rich decision, explore the mysteries of the Tyrant Star, the worst horse in a long night, etc. Yeah, so it sounds like they're gonna do the thing I mentioned, where as a Inquisitor, you also get a broad level of authority. Your possible companions they've advertised, you can get Epion Spez, a Medicae specialist, so a healer, but also she stabs people. Hymar Devos, who's from Catachin. There's an Ogrin. You could also recruit a Kroot and an Eldar. And yes, by the way, Inquisitors are much like Rogue Traders, because the only person who could audit the Holy Inquisition is the Holy Inquisition. They have a slight self-policing problem. Technically, there's Lords of Terra who can boss them around, but those guys almost never do anything. So they also have kind of the divide I talked about before, like similar to Iconoclast, is Inquisitors are usually puritanical or radical. So
Yeah, no,
puritanical is
that's
the
actually
equivalent of dogmatic, and radical is kind of like Iconoclast, but it's more like, I'll do what I think is best, even if it's against the Imperial Code. So, like, you can technically, like, work with Xenos, steal Xenos technology and shit, and, like, figure stuff out.
Actually, that's funny. Puritan and radical is on the thing, but they're just like their bars at the top, with dogmatic only being putting you towards Puritan, and Iconoclast and Heretical putting you towards radical.
That's fair. I think they did a smart thing by specifically splitting Heretical and Iconoclast, because technically both of those things are radical, but as you've noticed, Lucky, Heretical versus Iconoclast are very different forms of going against the Imperial Creed. One of which has you draw symbols in your own blood and turn into a tentacle monster. And the other one is just like, sometimes maybe you give a guy a free piece of bread and cancel his weekly, canings.
Yes.
Even though the book says you have to cane him.
It's like, do we really have to cane him? Nah. No. So, I like I said, like, there's a lot going on. Like, I'll probably be playing it more throughout it. Like, I think the big games, like, for me have been Abiotic Factor. Like, I have my own game that I play on my own time. I'm much more slow. Loth started his own game. I think he, like, got ahead of us in, like, a day.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Loth... I wouldn't be surprised if Loth didn't play the game on his own time to get ahead, and, like see what there is to see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I haven't been... I've been scattering through a few things. A lot of my time relaxing has been spent playing TCG Card Shop Simulator, which I feel like is my, head down, in my lane, moisturized, thriving type game. That's just, like... All I do is run logistics. It makes me miss Supermarket Together, because if there's one thing that, like, quality of life I would like in TCG Card Shop, it's the equivalent of the price gun or the tablet. Because in TCG Card Shop, you gotta pull out your phone and open up the ordering app to do everything. So, like, sometimes I'm like, wait, shit, which color of deck box do I need to stop? Put my phone down, pick my phone back up. But it's fine. We just kind of chill out, and, I've got enough employees that they do most of the stocking and checking out on their own. I just, make sure that the product exists and, make business decisions. Loth also probably didn't concern himself with some of the stuff that we normally concern ourselves in single, yeah. But
well, no, I'm pretty sure you can actually, like, just skip a bunch of the stuff.
If you know the shortcuts,
if you
probably.
Just don't. And you don't have to fight things. Like, when you go to a Far Garden, you probably don't have to fight either of the fucking Exor there and just go. You only really fight them if you want to get the fucking Exo hearts to get the things. But if you're not, like, Loth even said, like, his base is a fucking mess right now because he doesn't really pay attention. He just keeps going out.
Our base is quite
So-
orderly. We've like reorganized our crafting benches like twice. I think everything has a battery. You've done very good with the
This
grow
is because of
beds.
Lucky. Like I said, Lucky's become the house husband. I just take care of the house. I would take care of the kitchen, but Loth is fucking finicky about his shit, and he wants things.
He'll if you can get him focused on cooking, he'll cook. There was a whole time when I was like, "Oh, I thought we were gonna explore," and Loth was like, "No, I'm making soup." Like there was a whole like in-game day where he just made soup, which is great. We love the soup. But it's that weird phase of like, you know, the ADD type locking in where like he'll just chill and he'll mind the business if he wants to mind the business. But then there's other times. But yes, Abiotic's pretty good. But yeah, so yeah, I don't have any like other video games I'm really playing new other than that like micro review of Coral Island.
I probably should check it out, but like I said, I got a little much on my plate right now.
Yeah, it's fair. Like I said, I just wanted to try it out because I like downloaded it, so I'm like, I said I would try this. I also said I would play Lies of P when it's free. I haven't played a single fucking hour. I just haven't felt like playing Souls-like. It's there though. It's there when I'm ready for it. I keep stalking my fucking Steam wishlist page. They did the cartel update.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that, but like I said, I'm not.
It's
too
interesting,
fussed
but
about
it's
it.
also like it's cool. I don't know if it adds anything for us like as a group. That seems like more fun to pursue like single player. I guess I don't know, like you might have fun, you know, if like the rival cartel rolls up and you just beat the shit out of them with a bat.
Yeah.
Like you know, they added like a shotgun and some extra weapon mechanics and stuff. They did also technically patch that thing we did where if we got an audit customer, we beat them up and stole our money back. If you knock out a customer, they won't order from you for like 48 hours, I want to say.
Yeah, but then they got that itch. They need that hit.
And honestly, I think that's a fair balancer. Like, there really was no reason not to just knock people out and like pickpocket their shit. They did make it so you can loot people you knock out or kill, though. So, but also apparently, non-cop, just in general, NPCs can use ranged weapons. So, like, I assume that's mostly for the Benzies cartel, but I could also imagine just some rando on the street just pulls a gat if you start some shit.
Yeah, sounds about right.
So, like, it seems fun. It's a cool big update, but also, like, it sounds like there's a plot to it. It, like, ends with you, if you complete the story, you can buy the mansion property, but you have to do the story to do it. So, like, it seems more narrative-driven, so I don't know. But yeah, I'm like I said, watching my Steam wishlist to see if there's any of the couple of games I'm really keen on popping on sale. Because I watched a lot of videos because I was just like, you know, work, lay down, chat with the boys, sometimes play a little Abiotic, sometimes not. Sometimes I was like, oh man, I'm too tired. I'm sleepy. So that putting me through some stuff I may mention after a segue. But I had a separate interesting little topic to bring up because it's about some stuff that I like, which is small tabletop RPGs. I add them to my collection. But kind of out of nowhere, this person had been like tweeting about it for a while, like the week leading up to it. But this past week, there was a little micro RPG released called Trespasser, and it's, let me actually open it up because it's based on another like small rule system that I want to double check. But I found out of this because I follow the like main artist on Twitter, and the best way to describe this RPG is it's kind of like a in the same vein as like a Stalker or what's that one extraction type video game? Forever Winter. Like it's got a very loose setting. It's kind of like radio punk, like radios and weird radio stuff, radio signals are like very much a part of it. Mm-hmm. But I say it's like Forever Winter because basically the premise is you are a trespasser because there is a remote mountain valley that is untouched by the ravages of this horrible war that happened and fucked everybody else's shit up. Why is this place untouched? Well, it's because there is a automated floating fortress called Damocles, which if it senses the valley is being invaded in force, will blow your ass up. So it's been calculated that I think it's like 100 or 300 trespassers have the ability to slip in and do stuff. So it's the art style and the artist is like vaguely kind of, you know, girls with guns type core. But like I said, it's got like
it's a very start off style, but it has that very militarized feel at the same time.
Yes,
It's a very distinct vibe. I like it.
Yeah, like I said, this is why I followed this artist on Twitter because I'm like, ooh, I like they do a very distinct style here.
Actually, I should
But
follow was it Polita? Yeah,
yes.
I should follow them as well.
But like, there's like your gear sets are very simplified. You have weapons which have keywords, and a couple different there. You can do some different stuff with ammo. You can modify your gear a little. You do have armor. You have general equipment like backpacks and ponchos and stuff. But like I said, your radio is a whole specific section in the rulebook, and also you have a section for occult equipment because there is vague supernatural stuff going on. Like there's a mention of the character backgrounds.
I think I hear that your radio still gives you voices even if it's not plugged in. It's crazy.
Yes. Yeah, you get like weird radio signal stuff. One of the character backgrounds is literally you came back from the dead. I think it's Risen Mule, like you were a normal person, part of a cult maybe, but like you've come back. So weird shit like that. There are like religious groups out there and stuff like that. You got to watch about the owls, and there's a whole like section for the game master, the conductor, that I haven't deep dived. So it's like it seems neat. I haven't like fully digested it, but it's the core role playing. The core role playing and rules is pretty good. I like that it straight up says like it's supposed to use like in combat a little tactical grid, but it straight up says like, hey, this is kind of a narrative game. Like what the conductor, which is what they call the GM, says goes, even if they're quote unquote wrong. Like what you rule at the table is the rules, and it's supposed to be this very specific like micro setting where there's some stuff going on, and it seems like a neat premise. But I was really interested in this because I was just like, oh, this seems neat. I'll pick it up. It's effectively free. It's pay what you will on itch. It's called Trespasser, so you can search it up. I'm sure I've retweeted it once or twice over the past week. But it's got, sorry, if I'm pausing, it's because we're doing that thing where we're wrestling with Adobe Reader. where sometimes it decides it doesn't want to juice up a PDF or not. If you've listened to the APs, you'll hear this struggle sometime where I'm like, hold on, the book is fighting me. And then other times it's like, nothing. But I was very interested because it's got a pretty simple rule set. You use D20s for most things. And your modifiers are just like very simple. You have boons and banes. If you have a boon, you get a plus. If you have a bane, you get a minus. If you got both, they cancel out. You can get some more. You can get multiples. It's got like positive and negative trait stuff to build off of. You know how we love that.
Oh yeah.
And it had some like pretty good stuff. Like your backgrounds I mentioned, they basically are like, oh, you get a couple of extra build points, which you could only spend on like one or two skills. So you effectively get bonuses to skills for your background, but you get to pick. So you could go, if it's like 2 points, you could go 2 in one of the skills. You could go 1 in each. The thing I think that was interesting, because this is, like I said, I might segue to some other like video stuff I've been watching. Sorry, we tabbed back to Chrome there, and it didn't like that. Let me actually, I don't need the show notes. Let me actually close that up so Google eats less of my computer. Consume computer. But in combat, I think they have a pretty interesting system, which is all your actions cost stamina. You have a number of stamina points per turn. You regenerate so many at the start of the turn. So you can use them to like do movement, to hide, to search people down. You can like full auto or suppress people and stuff like that. But I really liked that vibe because like different characters will have different amounts of stamina and different recovery. And the doing second edition also does a similar thing, which is just like you have, I think it's 3, but you have like, you can still only do 1 bonus action, I think, normally. And like, you still have your movement in there. But it's not a movement action, it's just your movement now. Whereas the Pathfinder line is just like, yeah, no, fuck it. But you can just spend it all out. Mm-hmm. And so like that was that.
Nice. Like I said, I skimmed through it. I was mostly looking at the art because it's soft pastel anime girls and here.
Her image is like a girl with like a dazzle patterned poncho, and I think there's an example really early. Mm-hmm. Discord, are you still alive? Okay, no, Discord's still alive. I heard Lucky. Sorry, my I don't even know what you call it. Like my app bar is like freaking out. Like Discord like disappeared for. Hold on. Do I want to? Let me open an Audacity and pause recording for a second and close some things.
Okay.
It's still a little laggy. Hold on. Let me stop the recording for a second. Let me hit record again. I think some of the tail end of that back and forth did actually get so lagged it got cut out. But that was mostly you and me talking about how it was lagging and not good.
Oh no. Okay.
But we're back. Audacity did regroup itself. So we're in. You were saying before when we were in a little bit of downtime that we have a big long backlog of games, tabletop games, we should say specifically. So Trespasser is cool, and like I need to definitely while we're not in the middle of recording the show, I need to reopen and like actually read the GM backend very thoroughly because it seems like an interesting concept.
Well, if nothing else, you can mine it for ideas.
Hey, guess what? My segue is already did that. So yeah, perfect pitch. I don't have a lot to say about this subject, but it'll work as a good lead-in, and then we can transition back to Rain, the game we are currently actively running. But I mentioned before, I really liked the stamina system that they use.
Mm-hmm.
And I had already been in a mood to revisit one of my many sprawling homebrew projects, tentatively still called For Explore, which is about, doing space survival crafting, but in a tabletop. You build recipes, build items, kind of freeform. You get to pick and choose what you can build based on your materials, but then you have to solve mysteries like how not to get eaten by space bugs.
It's very important.
Honestly, I've actually been thinking I should maybe refocus and maybe write my, because I have some example exoplanets at the end of the book. I should maybe write those out and use those as a baseline for like things I need for like example stats for like creatures and other things. Because the goal is you're never supposed to just be playing the game to live, though obviously technically that is a constant struggle on a planet a million miles from Earth. But there's supposed to be like a driving force there that's like making you need to craft certain things that will be different based on what planet you get. But I was so enamored by the way the stamina thing works that I immediately tore down my rules in For Explore and rebuilt them into stamina. I made it your total stamina pool, a different derived stat. So you should have anywhere from like 1 if you are really weak. Like if your fitness and willpower are both 5 percentiles, then you have 1. I think you can get as high as 20 at character gen in For Explore. I'd have to double check, but it should be something like 4 to 6 max stamina. Everybody has a flat regen of 3 stamina, which works out perfectly because I already included the note, hey, if you're like hungry or thirsty or really tired or suffering from altitude sickness, you only get 1 stamina regen. Which, immediately, forks into the idea of like, hey, if you take care of your basic needs, you're better. You do better. There will also probably be like gear and consumables and stuff that, this goodness knows we have enough experience with like strain and stuff in Genesis and slamming back mana potions.
Yeah.
So it gives a different loop to it, but also lets me do a thing which is like, hey, you want to take more actions and it's not the top of the round so you don't have your stamina back yet? What if you hurt yourself? For a mere 2 wounds, you can take another stamina. So it's kind of a thing of like that feels very appropriate for a lot of survival crafting games that you can go in the neg, you can hurt yourself to get there. I think your starting health is like 10 plus your fitness, so you might have as much as like 30. But you got to spend 3 stamina to first aid yourself, and you can only first aid each character once per encounter. So like you'll start killing yourself. You guys did some example Space Trekkers characters. I don't think anybody's. It's been probably like a year or 2 since I was seriously looking at For Explore. But like I said, while I was, down with nothing better to do resting after work, I was just watching lots of videos, which included some, like, Satisfactory videos, some Subnautica videos, some Factorio vids, so it's just, like, I got in the space level. The systems are similar, but they is not necessarily a direct overlap between Space Trekkers and For Explore, other than that I think I both are, for now, percentile. Yeah, I'd have to get some art, but we could work that out. But, yeah. So, like, I immediately, like, converted everything to a stamina system. It just made the math work better and, like, lets you sort out some different things a lot easier, add some different consumable ideas. And then that kind of got me in the mood to, like, relook at some other stuff. So, like, the way it was designed previously, I had resources that were in just kind of, like, vague tiers. But then I needed to, because I needed to, like, come up with the mechanical excuse of, like, the classic thing. You're playing, like, say you're playing, like, Subnautica or something, and it's like, you're just like, there are shiny rocks here, I want them. Let me fill my pockets with them. Well, okay, so there's a mechanic for tracking how much you can fit in your pockets, how much do resources go. So I had, like, numbers anyway, so I was just like, fuck it, numbers.
Numbers!
There's still, like, abstract... Sorry, Richard takes up my water. There's still abstract, like, resource units, But it was just easier to do stuff like, say, like, okay, if you have, 5 or less, you're in the scarce tier, which lets you do these things. And, say, for instance, you want to, like, run a combustion generator for power. Hey, that means if you put 2 units of fuel in, you get 1 power unit for 1 hour. So there you go. Like, giving it numbers, even if they're still abstract, just made it easier to do math stuff with it. So, like, I don't know. I've just been kind of in the groove of, like, banging out some concepts for, like crafts and, like, resorting out my math and stuff. But like I said, I think I may need to work on the actual, like, narrative hook stuff, because that'll give me a framework for, like I said, like, okay, what are all the things you'd need to survive on this desert planet example in the book, kind of a thing, right?
Right.
But, it's got some fun stuff. I've written out a few entries thinking about, funny things. I also, like, I haven't written the chapter, but I reorganized it because I realized I needed to add a section for, like, big, long-term, late-game stuff, like big buildings, and also that should include, like, I've talked with you before, right, that there should be rules in 4 Explorer for, like, cybernetic implants and, like, genetic modification, because maybe that's the way you overcome your problems long-term, is you just, like, well, what if we just learned from the animals or the species on this planet and modified our DNA so we can breathe water or something? I don't fucking know. So I'm like, that's, like, long-term, late-game projects that I need a section for that I technically didn't have because it went straight from, like, equipment to GM section. But it's a fun little one. Like I said, I don't know when it'll be in a playable state, but I always like to get a little extra brain juice. And it just happened to be what's on my mind. But what's also on my mind, rain.
Lots of rain. We did episode 54, 55?
56 actually, I think, is the latest one.
I am horrible at this.
That's okay. There's literally the start of every episode is either I'm like, what episode is this? 50 or I go, I know this is episode 56 because I literally just posted 55, on a Sunday. So it's like, yeah, trust me, I'm also, like, remembering the numbers.
No, but we're 50 sessions in and things are going okay. Aggressively okay. Right now we are in the middle of what was once in the Sea Devil Infested Rock, and we have finally gotten good at combat. Yay!
You got rid of him. Good job.
Good job. Like I
Good
said,
job,
actually,
team. Thumbs up, TM.
I was actually thinking about this earlier today, but no, we spent so far. It's probably gonna be like 3 whole sessions because we're while we are done with combat in Lorelei Rock, we are probably not actually done with Lorelei Rock. We still have
you got some chambers to explore, so you got some like lore to learn,
loot,
some things to pick up.
Yeah. So we're not done, but we're done with the combat, so it'll probably be like, the quarter to the half of the session getting that done. So we could probably say that, Lorelei Rock took 3 sessions, but 2 of that was basically entirely combat. And I feel a little weird about that because I feel like it shouldn't have taken that long because it was only 3 combats. We had a fight where there was just, 2 of the big ones, another fight where it was like 3 of the big ones, and then a bunch of the little ones. And then the boss fight, was like 6 of the big ones, and then the boss.
Yeah. And technically there was an extra octopus in there.
An extra octopus, random ass octopus.
It was a weird side mob. But yeah, it's one of those things that, like I said, at the end of the session, I'm kind of like, I'm not sure how I feel about it with like how long the combat took. Because like, I feel like it shouldn't have took that long because it was literally, well, like you guys are like, okay, we're back in. The bad guys are in there. Okay, hold on. Let's double back and make sure there's no more bad guys. Okay, good. All right, now we're gonna reconnoiter a little, sneak in, and then of course that's when like the dice are just like literally rolling fucking like 4 dice or 3 dice for hearing, no extra skill. I'm just like, yeah, no 3 10s, fuck you, and I'm just like, yep. I rolled only 1 match. I can't softball it. This is what the dice say.
Excuse me. But I think we got on there, but like watching people play like combat and stuff. I won't say that I am an expert in the tabletop combat and tabletop tactics and what. Like I said, I try to role play my character as much. This is why Enos usually does not wade into the thick of things. He usually takes a moment, step backs, make sure everyone else is good. Yes, drop the puss.
Drop puss jokes were very strong. Yes.
Like
we got our Josh again.
Yeah, but like Enos, like I made sure the mooks. I shouldn't call them mooks. The men were in line, made them information. They advanced and stuff. So I did not like, I do as a character, Enos does not, consider himself a frontline fighter, although he does have the capability. He does have a pretty good dodge and parry, and his chain is, what, has 5 in chain? So it has a pool of 8 base, then plus his master chain weapon, which gives him +2 dice and a master dice. That means he's rolling 10 dice with a master die in there. No, Enos can get in there and cut up, but that's, not how Enos works. Enos considers himself, a spellcaster first and foremost, so, and an advisor second. I should actually see if I can figure something more about that, actually, but it's one of those things that I do feel like some of our players, they're usually, when their turn is, their idea is to just run up and hit a thing, which, is good for the quickness, but as we have learned about with range systems, the dice fall where the dice fall, so at one point you can be hitting their arm, the next time you can be hitting their lead, which is great for doing damage, but doesn't actually make them faster at being dead.
I mean, you could say it. It was. We might need to get Loth to buy a little extra sense so he can be a little high in the order. It's a thing where, like, Loth, I feel like Loth kind of forgot his lesson from the first combat session, where, like, the first one he ended with, like, no, hold on, let me call it shot ahead, I'm much better at this, and then, kind of got out there. But the second time he, like, wasn't near his Bardiche when the actual rumble started, so, like, he switched up his plan a little, and it was just kind of like poke with sword.
No, I'll call out Dallas a little bit as well too. Dallas can never decide what he actually wants to do, whether he wants to be an archer, an alchemist, or a fucking wrestler.
Yeah, Dallas talked about it, and I'm sure, like, if we talked it through with him, it would make sense to him, because he was like, oh, well, Karma was being pushed up, so I wanted to form a wall, and then the Marquis ran up front, so I wanted to, like, he didn't want to hang back. I think literally the way with his, like, the way his, his martial paths, that's the word I'm looking for, work, I think he would have been way more effective as a combatant, hanging back and shooting.
Oh, yeah.
But his character he was in tank mode. He did a spell, so he's got extra armor. And, like, so he did accomplish a secondary, like, narrative goal of, he did generate a decent amount of aggro. I think about half my attacks were directed at him,
Mm-hmm.
But he was mostly punching, which means he was literally only doing chip damage because he cast a spell so he could do chip damage. He cast the chip damage spell.
Yeah, and when his build is supposed to be like grappling, where, he grabs things and, crushes them to death. So I'm just all like, I am trying not to get mad at people in game as much, because that doesn't actually help anyone and just pisses people off, myself included. But it's just one of those things, like, I'm just like, are you not doing what you built your character to be? You're doing this weird thing because you just want to do a weird, silly little thing. Like,
well, Dallas also, I don't know if he switched or if he actually just bought it up separately. He also has some Thunder Fist techniques which he was applying.
Oh no, he does.
Some of which were very confusing.
Yeah, he has both the Thunder Fist and the bear stance one, the Mattias one.
Yeah, the bear wrestling.
Bear wrestling, yeah.
I don't want to, like, it's the thing, right, where, like, as the game master, I don't want to be one of those game masters who's like, hey, players, here's how you play your character optimally.
Yeah, I know, like, I don't want to be that.
I did, like, with bear wrestling, I wrote that, I designed that. Like, you're right, like, if he wants to do the damage, the thing he should do is he should, like, bear hug people. That's the whole point.
It's one that things
or he should do grapple maneuvers to, like, debuff them, and also gets to do damage when he does that. That's the other advantage, is, like, you get to do damage. But he was like, I can do killing electric punches.
Except they didn't do a lot.
No, he basically did the one extra damage, and Waste Shock is cool, like, it's debilitating. It's really funny in a one-on-one. The guys were not in a one-on-one. I was very nice. Also, I was nice to me, and I, like, trotted out the ads, like, 2 at a time, and then the next time, the next guys would come in, so, like, there was a threat of being overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
But there was still a little slow boating, like, and it's like a case of, like, Conrad's very effective, and, like, he likes to get in there, he likes to do damage, but also,
a lot of damage.
Yeah, he does a lot of damage. He's got a very good sword. But also, Conrad is a little bit of a tank, like, he's a little bit of a defensive player, so there were some times when he focused on blocking, because, there were some characters in the front line. It's kind of the thing. Honestly, first of all, I mean, just, Axe of the Marquis, think about his damage output. We gotta get that guy to the desert. We gotta get his sword upgraded. He needs to get the sauce back.
Well, yeah, if he's gonna keep running straight into combat to stab people, yes, we need to give him a better fucking sword.
Need to get his juice.
I
need to get him that fucking Waste Shock. I mean, it's
Like-
a normal longsword with a +1. It's awakened.
But and also, I think we also might have like literally shot ourselves a little bit in the foot. Like I said, not wanting to use guns.
Yeah, that was another thing that I think I actually mentioned in the session, which was just like, nobody brought any ranged options. And like Dallas had a reason in his head for like why he was upfront punching. He was trying to tank, but like it was truly the case of like so like Logesh doesn't have a backup option. Comrade's option is like gun.
Eno sold his gun.
Yeah, you literally sold your. I mean, you have a reach weapon too, so it's a little different. But like,
Yeah.
reach versus like hitting somebody over there. Leslie actually brought his guns, but we didn't get to using them. He did a suitably dramatic wind up at the end, because I kind of get the vibe like it's important to end it with the gun, but also doesn't want to just like Axe. I think could have moved it a little faster, but he basically for the same reasons as you don't want to cast Soul Sundering Strike or whatever my actual name of the fucking spell is. I read so many spells I can't remember all my names. I know, I bet. But like you don't want to start every fight by just running up and death touching everybody, hitting them with the dim mock.
Yeah.
It's like, especially like plot wise, like Axe as Leslock's player wants, especially using Leofric's gun to have, meaning, narrative weight to it, which I appreciate. Also because it might, end fights early. But it might not, because it's only like width and Shrek killing.
Yeah, but I think, doesn't Axe have like 2 pepper boxes though?
He does. He has 2. And he thought about drawing one to like bang the other one and not. Well, no, like you guys hold back on guns. You decided to say damn the torpedoes, but you guys did hold back on guns because you should not fire firearms in a cave. Like you're still on lead ball. That's not like supersonic. It's still loud.
There's still a small explosion happening.
Like it's not good for your ears. But also, I admit, I think, yeah, talking about didn't want to fuck up everybody's hearing. Honestly, maybe you guys should have ate that a little bit.
Yeah.
Who the fuck did you need to hear?
It's true. Mop.
Later, it might be important, and you guys are going to be like, no, I don't want to blow my hearing, actually. We need hearing. We need situational awareness. I think that the way the roles worked out, situational awareness wasn't as important. Like, you guys did make a couple of hearing rolls. Dallas actually tested out a spell to give his hearing a little buff. Mm-hmm. That had some narrative, or some extra weight to it. But like you guys rolled like hearing like one probably important hearing roll right at the start before any fights happened, and then later we kind of just get in there.
Oh no!
I was expecting permanent. I don't have rules for permanent hearing damage. Is there?
No, they're not static. No,
yeah,
not.
I don't even think there is like a.
There's one eye. There's one eye and blindness and missing limbs or missing hand, but there's no like deafness, which I actually found surprising.
Like, I mean, it's pretty easy with the way like absolute deafness. It's pretty easy to just be like, there's a separate hearing skill from the sight skill. You just take the rules for blindness and apply them to deafness, to hearing.
Yeah. But no, I was expecting like a temporary like hearing penalty if we shot guns, but not a permanent one. Just we get like an hour of
just be like a couple of minus dice.
Yeah,
depending on how loud you are.
Like I said, because
like is rough,
it is one of those things. I feel like I said, like just because like Axe definitely has this problem that if we say you probably shouldn't do something, he will take it as he absolutely should not do something because we will fucking hate him forever if he does it.
Literally, he's talking about, he didn't want to cause a fuss and scissor hang up. Yes, yeah. It is.
It is. And I think I probably would have been a little mad if, someone shot a fucking gun behind me. But probably would have been more in character than out of character because guess what? I do not want the Marquess running into combat trying to stab people because that makes other people want to run into combat and start shit.
It causes a clusterfuck. Axe, when he did one of his attacks to, like, rush up and smack a couple of guys, he was like, I'm taking my fucking passion die.
I mean,
I'm taking it. And I'm like, nope, you are correct. You are doing something that your dad would have done. It's not smart, but he would have done it.
Yeah.
I would like to remind everybody, Leofric Logi is dead. He was assassinated. Like, he was by all accounts a great guy, but there are probably some things he should have done different in his life.
It's one of those things that I feel like we could have been better with combat, but I also kind of want people to think about what they're doing more. I'm not saying we have to take the most optimal, efficient solution every single freaking time, but like I feel like Axe really wanted to just use what was the poison that he has? Hunter Sting?
Hunter Sting, yeah.
Yeah,
Axe
he just
even
wanted
said
to use
earlier,
Hunter Sting.
he thinks he was he even admits now, like in hindsight, that he was a little too focused on the debuff part.
Yeah. And stuff. Like, and I also think that our group doesn't want to have nameless faces die. Because we brought, like...
Yeah.
We brought, like, 6 dudes. I tried to get them up in there, but people are just like, no, I push forward even more. I'm all like, I didn't say this out loud because I didn't want to, call this thing, but I'm all like, we have literally faceless dudes here to, soak damage and... No,
yeah, and if you guys ever buy the followers like advantage, that's another thing they're going to be there for is having guys.
And I'm gonna correct him. The dudes were used. I used the dudes. I was the one interacting with them at all times. Like everyone else was just all like, I charge at enemies.
Yeah, I think there was
Mark
at one point because Conrad or Leslock like declared later than you that like there was at least one turn in one of the sessions where it was clear that it was like, oh yeah, we should use the dudes. So if you didn't say something, they would have said something. But this is the way the sense order is, where like it's like, well, you didn't tell them beforehand, so we're here now.
Yeah. And here's the thing, like I said, you can always say at any point, hey, leave the command, like, let me use the guys. You can, like, on your turn, set it up for the next turn. And so, like, yes, no, Enos has a lower system order, so I declare first, but you can always say on your sense turn, Enos, I'll be taking command from here on, and Enos will be like, okay, I'll go do something else. It's like, but again, I reiterate, everyone was so focused, like, yeah, you might have done it. You might have done it if I hadn't done anything, but you were not interested at all in doing it when you could go sort someone. Axe, I'm saying you can say it on your sense 5 for the next turn. Not declaring what you want ahead of time, but on your sense, basically saying, hey, next round, I would like to have command of the guys. That is not,
I mean, yeah, no. Technically, the way declaration works, followers always they don't even have it. Unworthies don't even have a sense order. They always declare first. So like that's the thing is like on your sense order, you go, I tell my men to do this. They've already declared for their round that round, like way ahead of you. They always will do that. But you can use your sense to be like, hey, we're gonna do some stuff later.
Yeah. It's like,
and I say the reason why I say I don't want you to say what you're gonna do when it's not your sense 5 is because that's the whole point of sense. This is actually part of the challenge of the game. Loth, as Logesh at Sense 2, doesn't get to know what the fuck Conrad or Leslock are doing this round. He's not allowed to do that because he's Sense 2 and he hasn't put more points in it. That is his punishment. It's not really a punishment, but, it's the penalty. I joke about it being a punishment, but that's the balance. His Sense stat is lower. He doesn't get to know shit. Those of you who are Sense 5 are like, you get to know all the shit. I mean, he could, but he doesn't want to like auto buy his stats up super high. I keep saying we should maybe push him to go to like 3, maybe, get him in the average pack. I also don't know why Nikola's only Sense 2, but other than just Dallas is being funny, but
yeah, Enos is Sense 3. But
also I need to tell part of this problem with Loth's optimization was like he left his Bardiche behind. I need to let him know that like there's the Bardiche is a type of poleaxe from a time period when firearms also existed. They have a loop and a shoulder strap. He doesn't need to put it down on the ground if he wants to do something.
But so no, I do feel like we need to be a little bit more efficient in combat. I'm telling myself I need to remind people that if you're not doing something like super specific, you should probably be doing either multiple attacks or called shot. Like called shots are very nice. You only lose 1 dice, and as some people's dice pools are showing.
Yeah, like honestly, I mean, obviously we've been playing a lot of sessions. We're in the 50-ish mark, and I did give you a decent jump of EXP after the prologue. The prologue was interesting because I wasn't like handing out like any EXP for like 5 sessions, so that was an interesting one. That one was one where you guys were like very small dice pools, very locked in. That has very rapidly changed. You guys are very good at some skills. Only 50 sessions in with some respecking, and like there is a time in One Roll Engine where you gotta just like swing and pray kind of a thing, right?
Yeah.
Especially true if you're not a combat character. You just gotta kind of like deal with it. You guys are not in that phase anymore. You are decently competent at the things you want to be competent at, so you can afford to get a little fancy with combat. And like you said, Lucky, it's kind of encouraged. Like, this is a thing that came up in conversation today. Technically, the freaky fish guys you fought are not that much tougher than, like, a guy. No, and that's fair. Like you guys want to be careful about, like, going super deep into things because you guys are, like, you guys have had some specialist training. You know, you've been working on this for a lot earlier in your life. Like you know, some of you have been training with the sword since you're, like, 8. So, like, having a little bit of experience is not crazy. But, yeah, the Sea Devils you fought are, like, same damage silhouette as a human. They had an extra hitbox over a human. You know, so they had, like, 5 in head and 11 in torso. And had 2 AR, which was, like, freaky fish armor. But also, that's just medium armor. You guys will fight human men that are like that, right? Like, you're going to fight guys who are wearing, like chainmail. It's not even the unconventional. Just a guy in head-to-toe chainmail is 2 AR everywhere, and you don't get the Damascene bonus because that shit's made of steel.
Yeah.
So, like, what are you going to do?
I have, I ignore 1A, but that's for something different. But still, that's still,
you know... You'll do some stuff.
Yeah. So, it's like one of those things of, like... Again, like, I need to, like, remind myself to remind people in combat, you know, to do called shots, do, you know, multiple attacks, you know, get more efficient in combat, not, you know, just so we can speed combat along, because that was the thing I think that irked me most, like, not necessarily that, you know, people are doing, because, you know, people are just trying to make rolls or trying to get things, but just the way that the dice works is you can be hitting wildly different locations and spreading out your damage, and that makes the combat go longer.
Yeah, I think... And it's possibly the way that, like, it was written by, like, Greg Stolze and the others. In a 1v1, I feel like it's very dramatic, right? Like, just letting the dice fall your way. You're like, oh, you, like, chip 2 damage on his shoulder. Oh, you actually hit the torso. Oh, you got the head. When you're in a massed fight where, like, literally you guys are fighting 6... I mean, I think technically the most in the combat was, like, 5-ish, because there were some guys you beat up. But, like, you're fighting 6 gribbly Sahagin water demons, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not so dramatic. That's more just, like... Well, you're hitting this guy like 2 times around, so all of their matches are broken, but you're not killing him. So please rebalance this equation. Either let's get some back and forth in here, or kill this guy already. And I think at one point I was like, I think it was D had like his chest filled with shock, and his arm and leg were down, and I was just like, yeah, Moira and Aurelia just take that guy to the ground and fucking coup de grace him. He's dead. He's super cooked. He's not doing shit. But it was still, like, took a little bit of work to get there. And, like, if you want to kill guys for a human anyway, but you know what I mean? Like head killing, dead. Head shock, unconscious. Torso killing, dead. Torso shock, wounded.
Honestly, I can't really... There's nothing really to complain about Conrad's combat ability. Conrad is very good. Once Aaron caught it onto multiple attacks are very good, and he's just, you know... cleaving X's through people. He got very effective at combat.
Yeah, Conrad, I think we're probably gonna say something similar. Aaron is like kind of the thing where he's like, much like you, he's like, well, I don't want to end the combat like instantly, you know, every time. Wants to see what enemies are doing, but like when it's in character, like if Conrad gets hit, he gets, you know, he turns red. He wants to clap back. Or, you know, he sees a big threat, he's like, oh, that guy's cool.
No, it's...
I mean, I don't want to just cheat the combat. Talking about like, speed up combat. Like, if you guys reasonably have a guy in hand, I'm okay writing him off. Like, I think there were 2 enemies that I just writ off in that combat.
Yeah, there was 2 guys who were just like dying their next hit, and one was on the ground, and the other one was just like, I don't remember the other one, but I'm not.
At one point, one of them was just like engaged in melee with your guys, and you weren't, like I said, you weren't gonna. The rest of the crew wasn't pushing the guys forward, so I was just like, yeah, I think the 6 guys are just gonna grab this guy and like, you know, mob him. He's dead. They're gonna take him apart. I think he's got a few. We can interrogate the combat capabilities later. Aaron literally said we should remind each other. It's funny that we're like 50 plus sessions in, and I feel like we're still learning lessons. But it is kind of that thing of like, we are, because like most of your fights previously have either been, what's the phrase I like to use? Man-to-man coverage. Mm-hmm. Like either 1v1s or literally like equal number of combatants. You fought a couple of packs of unworthies. And like there are other cases where like your first post time skip combat was actually technically it was the very first was I made you fight a couple of Silver Sentinels, but those guys were pretty easy. You just had to get over threat 4. But the first like combat with like proper sense order was Wargs and Wolves. That one went by pretty fast. It was a little spooky. Dallas got hit in the head. He got bit by a wolf. But you guys, you know, used guns and established proper firing lines. Worked out pretty well. And then there are other cases where like you get fucking ambushed by a spec op cyclops, and then you're like, shit.
Well, he got a very good roll.
Yeah, it happens.
No, so no, it's just one of those things that in my back of my mind, I just got to remember that I probably need to nudge people and the remembering what it does, and probably start threatening Dallas. I think Dallas needs to be threatened a bit.
Sometimes. Dallas is like, it's funny we talked about like choice paralysis for CRPGs earlier. I don't think Dallas has choice paralysis. I think Dallas just has too many options because he can do magic. He can do ranged attacks. Now he's a longbowman. You know, before he got his arm fixed, he had knife throwing, which he was very effective at. And also he has a lot of unarmed stuff. Because I think he did talk about, like, since the prologue and kind of, like cottoning onto that character stuff, he's always kind of, like, wanted to do a little bit of, like, the wrestling.
I think that's just down. That's just down per that up.
I mean, Dallas also does, like, wrestling, but it's well established, right? He latched on early in the prologue and was like, oh, yeah, we'll absolutely do some stuff. And, like, technically that is a thing that with a bum arm he should be able to do is a little bit of grappling, throwing, crushing.
No, but no, Dallas usually has a reason for what he does. I don't think he never puts no thought into what he does. The problem is sometimes he puts the wrong thought into what he does.
Yeah, and so, I don't want to fight him on making a character like you even talked about yourself doing character moves over necessarily doing the most optimal move. But it would be nice also if we were more explicit about we're doing this for character tricks.
Mm-hmm.
And the room when we can be like, well, we can do a little less characterizing.
No, but other than that, like I said, this experience is always, as always, taught me things I need to be aware of myself. Again, I try not to make Enos a combat-oriented character, but I probably should be actually having some sort of ranged option. Talking about, I do like guns. I think guns are cool, but guns are also loud and complicated. Get wet, can't use. Get a little bit, can't use. Indoors, probably should not use, but still can.
I think I joked about trying to get Everhelm, who's technically slightly better at shooting than swording. He needs to get a fire lance for the next time you guys go caving.
Guns aren't necessarily an iron... Well, they kind of are an Iron Demon thing, but I've usually viewed guns as a collaboration between Iron Demons and the Tinemen.
I definitely think, like, modern firearms are, like, cannons and rifling, like...
Yeah.
Because Iron Demons live underground, so, like, they're not going to use an arquebus either, normally.
No.
They did invent I just mentioned it, the fire lance first, which is basically just, like, a one-shot flamethrower. Now, I'm talking about, you guys have some rifling. You should be able to make rifled barrels. It's just, there's no mass production because it has to be done by hand, so it's, like, really expensive for... not a lot of benefit. Rifling gets really good when you get to the switch to the conical bullet.
Yeah, because then you get spin, and then the conical bullet, flies, faster and farther.
Yeah.
Spinning a lead ball just makes it spin.
Yeah. So it's like, it's a case of, like, you guys have the technology, but nobody's probably put the 2 and 2 together to be like, oh, we can build a, like, 3-step process to make this actually worth it. And even then, it would still be expensive. I think I've talked about it before with, like, Aaron, of, like rifling is, like... because it's a cool concept, but it needs some extra sauce, and it's just like, again, like, seriously, look at an image of a rifled barrel, chat, sometime, and imagine you don't have an industrial machine press to do that. You have to hand work that shit. That sucks. But yeah, no, Iron Demons, like, I invented the Fire Lance as, like, a basically one-shot flamethrower as, like, a scare tactic, and loud bang, bright light fire is pretty good in a tunnel fight to scare the shit out of whoever's coming down your tunnel at you.
Yeah.
I imagine that, like, for certain cases, they like to use, like, pistols, maybe
yeah, like, definitely,
boosters.
like I said, and, like, we discovered that the Iron Demons used to have, other settlements besides the Dragon Eye, so, maybe such things were, like, more prevalent there, but no, like, while Iron Demons has contributed to, gun culture in China and whatnot, they are not, the pioneers and, propagators of it.
That is true. Actually, saying the only firearms one was the Iron Demon one at the start. That is true, because there was an archery one in the book that was Death Cult flavored, so I just turned it into a gun Death Cult flavored one.
Mm-hmm.
But later I did add both Gunslinger and Sniper School, so there's a specific one for all firearms, and then there's specifically one for pistoling and one for rifling. I think Comrade has a little bit of Sniper School. Aurelia has a couple in Gunslinger.
Maybe you should just turn the Death Cold Iron Bling to more of a general one instead of just guns. No. So I don't know. I think there's enough people using Lucky likes being a special snowflake. I don't necessarily like doing other things that other people are doing. That's why I'm not using swords. That's why I don't want to use guns and stuff. I like being unique and having my own specific niche. So I will probably pick up something like the crossbow or throwing. Once again, I'm looking at Elemental Fist. I'll be like, man, that's really rad. Really expensive, but really rad.
I like to call it niche protection. I think niche protection is very important for RPGs because, much like in your real life jobs and stuff, you want to chat. Been GMing a lot of years. Here's the thing: you want your players to feel like they are special. They are doing unique things in the world. They're doing something only they can do. If everybody can do something, then you don't feel special. This is this is literally Syndrome's evil plot.
Yeah. You beat me to it.
Yeah.
When
I heard you brewing it up back there. So when you're doing game design, this is why I've heard some people talk about how they feel a little weird about it. I think they're just coming to it from a different experience. Literally, I was in a thread somewhere where people were talking about how so this is a slight aside, but this is to explain this story. Critical Role has released their, unique fantasy RPG, Daggerheart. It's pretty cool. It's got a lot more of a narrative focus, kind of for stuff. There's literally a system where, you offload some of the GMing to your creative friends by just going oh, you open a chest? What do you find in that chest? Which I think is very neat, and it lets for Critical Role, where the players are all voice actors and drama nerds, and the GM is also like that style. It makes sense that they kind of brewed that up because it basically lets them do improv better. But they announced that for their fourth main campaign, they are not switching to Daggerheart. They're still sticking with D&D 5. Some of that's probably because they're getting Dimension 20's Brendan Lee Mulligan to run the whole campaign. He's pretty good at what it does, but also he's from Dropout, which is the former College Humor guys. They stopped being College Humor and formed Dropout as an independent thing. So, he has mega improv chops, so he doesn't need games to tell him how to do improv. Yeah, I'm thinking about the parody of our audience. They may remember College Humor for more specifically, but so he is more familiar with 5e to do tactical combat things. Personally, I think that I'm of the opinion that not all games need a tactical combat angle, and also, sometimes D&D isn't your best form of tactical combat. Anyway. But what do I know? I'm not Brendan Lee Mulligan. But, they're sticking with 5th Ed, so this has caused some people to drama, because, obviously, one, it makes more business sense that Critical Role would plug their own RPG and their flagship content thing, Yeah. But also D&D's super big, and they have deals with wizards and stuff, so there's a lot of business elements. But there are also a certain slice of the internet is just waiting for the thing that'll kill Wizards of the Coast, or at least hopefully break D&D's kind of monolithic share of the market. And I do think that if Critical Role had switched to Daggerheart as their primary thing, that would have both plugged their business and helped hurt D&D's market share. But also, D&D might have problems with that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, there's complex business relationships. Business is complicated. But I saw in this thread, people talking about it, people talking about non-D&D RPGs. Some groups talked about, how, yeah, we tried stuff like Cyberpunk Red, and it was weird that you had, our group found it weird that you had, roles, you couldn't just be Joe Schmo, you had to play a role. And it's that's interesting. I bet those people, based on that statement and other statements I don't need to go into in this already long tangent, they probably come from it from more of a, narrative or theater, character focused thing, you're just a guy, you're a person first. But generally for the mechanics part of the game design, usually you get those roles because of, it's not literally called niche protection, but it's niche protection. Mm-hmm. You're playing D&D, the healer, the cleric heals. Don't feel weird. You want to tank. That's your job. You want to take hits. That's good. Like,
Yeah.
that's, you have a role, and that has character tropes associated with it, that has, like, characterization things, but, you know, healer heals, tanky tanks, wizard probably does brain shit, and the rogue does everything all the rest of the party doesn't want to do. The rogue gets 10,000 skill points, so he can cover all the shit that the rest of you are like, I don't want to put points in use device and sleight of hand and streetwise. You know, it's just that kind of thing. So, like, technically in the original D&D, the thief, they weren't even a rogue, the thief's job was specifically picking locks and disarming traps. But that's, again, different stuff, you know. But, like, even in non-D&D RPGs, I think that niche protection is part of it, because that's how your players feel like they have their own special little thing. We've talked about it before, talking about, like, good games we like. Apocalypse World or Power by the Apocalypse games with their playbook style system, really good at this. Technically, in Apocalypse World, if you pick the tech head character type thing, or you pick the brainer, the psychic, you are the only person exactly like that in the world. You can, like, hedge a little by picking moves from other playbooks, or, like, somebody can get in your stuff, but nobody can be exactly like you. And, like, if NPCs are like you, that's, like, up to the GM and the world building, you know? And even they're not going to work exactly like you because they don't have the same moves as you, you know? They do stuff different. So, like, it, one, gives players the ability to know, what am I doing, right? They're like, okay, I'm the brain guy. I should do brain stuff.
Brain stuff.
I'm the shoot guy. I have 4 super cool guns. I should shoot my guns, you know? So it helps break down on that thing that we've talked about earlier in combats, where you're like, you can have that moment where you're like, well, I'm not exactly sure what I should do. Like I said, Dallas I don't think has choice paralysis. I think it's just that Dallas has done the thing that we've talked about, where he has 3 perfectly valid options, and sometimes just because it's a valid option doesn't mean it's the best option, you know? You can get a little lost in the sauce.
The sauce.
But that makes characters, if they have their niches, that feel special. And as a game master, again, talking about how, you know, like, CRPGs aren't like tabletopping, as a game master, you should put things in front of the group so that they feel like their skills are awarded. Like, Nicola is your court physician. So, like, obviously, you guys get hurt, he has shit to do. And honestly, I'm thinking about it now. I'm still a little torn. I'm still torn, Lucky, about the lightning bolt.
What about
I'm not sure which was perfect. Cause,
yeah.
I think it's really cool of you to like you said, join an elite club. You got to stop a lightning bolt. That's cool. You like that. But now that we ended the session without any of the exposition, I'm like, oh, but it would have been really dramatic if I had gone for the headshot, and you would have lived because you would have reduced the damage because of your ring. Yeah, you'd be 2 killing, 2 shock. That's fixable, but like that would have been really dramatic. But it still would have taken you out of commission. So like, I don't know if we would have gotten the exposition. And there's like 2 of you who can read Myrrh, I think, and I don't. No, actually, Axe is usually pretty good about buying it up, so he probably reads Myrrh pretty good. But still, it's one of those things of like speaking about niche protection, Enos real keen on ancient lore. I think all of you are a little keen on ancient lore, but like specifically you're really working on this Myrrh thing of like, how did they get here? What are we doing? You know? And I was like, I didn't want to like, when I have the choice to pick where the damage goes, right? I'm like, well, I don't want to box Lucky out, you know? Don't want to knock him out on his ass before we get in there. But it's like, it would have been dramatic. But also, not taking the damage is also really cool. But like I said, as the game master, hurting the players is enough to give Nicola something to do with his healing skill. Also, NPCs that may come up, and there may be other things in there. You know, I don't think we're ever going to go full like medical drama, but it comes up decently enough. The only thing is like sorcery is usually like it's a little specialized, it's a little weird, it's a little funky. Just today, you were going back through your character sheet and like jotted down all your material components you need for stuff.
Yep.
You know, like, but it's all about that planning and that use. Especially Nicola's default sorcery is alchemy. That's the Batman of sorceries. It's like you can do anything if you have 16 hours of prep time. If you need something fixed right now, alchemy has a very limited tool set. Like, I think Nicola does have most of the attunement spells because they are pretty neat, but, you know, and for Enos, it's like, okay, what is Enos about? Social stuff, dramatique, romance. It's like, okay, you know, it's like That's real easy, especially when with maneuvering you into Master of Ceremonies. It's like we got social situations, we got etiquette stuff, we got event planning that lets.
No, I got a full ass fucking plate.
Yeah, that's let Enos flex his thing and stay open. So it's like it's important to not make the player characters feel boxed out, but there are also like some things that I think don't count as like protected niches. Like, I mean, there are a couple. I think there's one or two. There might be two full-on, like martial paths or esoterics that are about dodge. So technically, you could be Johnny Dodgeman, but generally, I don't think of dodge as a protected class, right?
No,
it's just, hey, do you want to not get hit? Might consider some dodge. It's like sight. Hey, you want to see things? Gonna make you roll some sight, bud. Are you trying to read a document that's farther away than like 5 inches in front of your face in a well-lit space? Roll sight, buddy. That's not actually true, but like sense skills like seeing and hearing are also like very basic bitch. So there's like, I think every RPG has these skills, right? Which are just like, okay, these are your bare essentials. You might need some of this shit. I think even for instance in like Mages of War, I had a couple of skills that were like, sorry, I was poleaxed. Discord put a survey link at the top of my screen suddenly and like moved everything down. I'm okay to take surveys, but in the middle of something Discord. I mean, I think Leslak's memory powers are useful. The main thing is that we have talked about this, and you have bemoaned it. You as Axe the player did not acquire Leslak's magical memory powers. So like, and I've mentioned before, I can't read your minds, so I can't necessarily remember things for you that you wanted to remember unless you say it. Certainly, I think with the way Leslak is just, it's really easy to go, oh, you don't have to roll? Yeah, you remember that. I think generally, like, even, like, because Leslak remembers things, even if it's not necessarily written down, it's like, you guys ask me about an event, and I'm like, yeah, let me double-check that for you. Now, the joke is, I might be that nice anyway, audience home. But definitely, with magical memory powers, it's like, it's not literally magic, but it is, it's TV friendly memory powers. I can definitely be like, yeah, shit, you saw that, you'd remember. Like, it means that I don't get to hedge my bets, which I like to do a little hedging. I like to be lenient with the players, but like you said, when he asked me to do something weird, there are sometimes when I just gotta be like, no, you can't do that. What, are you crazy? You gotta keep them on their toes. You can't give them everything. You guys be a little bit of pushback. I mean, yeah, no, it's definitely a thing of like, there are rules about remembering. I think the main thing is just that, like, other than Enos / Lucky, I don't think many of the other player characters actually are like, hello, I'd like to remember some stuff. Other than Dallas, but I think Dallas remembers things wrong sometimes.
Dallas definitely remembers things wrong, and I say he remembers things wrong multiple times.
And
not
that's
just
like,
sometimes.
And I don't say Nicola, but like Dallas misremembers, but it works for Nicola. So like we don't need to do any extra role playing sauce for him to fuck stuff up. But like usually, I think when Lucky asks me to remember something, like generally you're like, "Hey, is this a written down box text I can transcribe?" And I'm like, "Yes."
No, that's what I usually do. I literally have a folder on my computer called Enos's bookshelf, in which Enos has just records of the things he's encountered, notes, and all that stuff. So
and I don't want to like if you're transcribing something, you're copying something that's pre-written. It's like I don't want to. I'm not going to make you guys make a rub to transfer roll. No, you can transcribe, okay? It's like, maybe if you're in a time crunch, you can transcribe. The thing is that, like, the Eyes of Flame has multiple levels of it. Obviously, speed reading documents is useful, and, like, you can instantly read a document and then transcribe it later because you remember. That hasn't come up yet, but it might. Like, if you guys are doing intrigue shit, you might only get a second to glance at a document, and then you're like, no, I remember it. I'm going to write it down. The other thing is, like, and this is an important thing about your sketching, your drawing skills, is, I believe, one of the earlier levels, but it's one of the levels that Leslak has because he had the whole thing, is you remember names and faces, which, like, again, hasn't come up in a while. You guys have been home. Still going to be a very useful skill if you ever just want to be, oh, yeah, who is that guy? Game Master, I remember his face. Here, let me sketch it for you. It's like, well,
yeah,
shit.
Yeah, you're welcome, Max.
Yeah, that was a round robin of Lucky suggesting characters of things to do with their EXP, and Axe was like, yeah, got some ideas.
It's like No, like, again, this is what we're talking about, like, the difference between, like, pen and paper and the CRPGs. On pen and paper, like, you can do just about anything as long as the GM says okay, but you have to think of it in the first place. It's like, the world does not give you a drop-down menus of actions you can take, and you pick one of them. You have to come up with it yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are some CRPGs that do, like, try to go out of their way to think of, like, building systems of funny interactions, like Baldur's Gate 3 did some dynamic things with D&D combat with, like, fucking around with, like, barrels and, like, area effect spells and stuff.
Romancy.
But that, I think, was because the people making it are pretty cool. Well, yeah, it's like, if you're not there for the improv, if you're just there for the math, CRPGs can be very rewarding. But it's the kind of thing where, like, if you get a little too improv, you can be a little limited. And, like, not everything has to be weird. It's more just having an idea and going for it. And, like, maybe I should, because I do think that the Rain is a very well-written game in the sense that it's designed to kind of scale up to your needs. Like, if you have players who are just interested in just the social stuff, you can make combat very slimline. But if you're running a game where, like, your players are expected to get into the throwdown, there are advanced maneuvers and stuff. Maybe I should collate the, like, 3 fucking combat chapters into one quick cheat sheet
That could probably be helpful.
that we can, like, glance at and be like, here's everything you can do. That's a good one. I'll certainly introduce characters. And it's like, that is a thing that, like, I don't think about it a lot, but it is important to note of, like, usually we put characters in the dramatis and stuff. We keep track of logistics, but it is one of those things that, like, I do have to be careful about, right? Of, like, being like, oh, well, if I want to hide stuff, I have to hide stuff. Like, you guys didn't see her, but the Madame Marsh who was in the north, talking with Bloody Brad, she would have had a hood on the whole time, even though, we're alone in the middle of fucking nowhere. Because if Leslock saw her face, he would be able to recall it forever. And it's not a guarantee that he's the only person in the world that can do that, right? It's an esoteric path, or an esoteric discipline. So it's hypothetically a thing that people are known to occasionally do. It's probably rare. Yeah, I don't know. Actually, no. The face remembering is pretty early, I think, right? It's like the 2nd level, maybe the 3rd. Yeah, so I think I did say that Leofric had at least that far. Honestly, that would... Sorry, I've just... This is the beauty of writing Rain basically as I need to. Like, again, I have the skeleton in my brain, but I fill in the details as we go. The 1st level, okay, then he definitely had it. But it's like, that's one of those things of, like, sometimes you get to do writing, like, in the moment. Literally, I'm just like, oh, so no shit the Syndicate has, like, hoods and face masks and shit, of course. Like, he was the king's marshal, the king's cop for I don't know, like, at least 5 years, I think, I said before the game started.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, of course they, like, cover their faces so he can't recognize them. Yes, you can remember faces, and if they did know their names, their names. So it's like, yeah, no, of course. So I'm like, that's one of those great moments of, like, well, that's great that I now have a diegetic way for explaining this. It's like, yeah, they're probably a little paranoid because they were working against a guy who could just do that. Yeah, Rain's cool. It'll be fun because we'll do, like, you guys aren't done with Lorelei Rock, but you're done with the combat. So, we're just gonna turbo on down for like the last couple chambers. I'll get to do my cool setting the mood.
Yeah, no. I'm excited. Enos has plenty of things to do. First, I have to get that coral sword back from Aurelia, so there's going to be a talk there. Also, my water ring.
Yeah.
That's very important.
No, it was a good moment. It was one of those things where I had to think about it. I'm like, nah, fuck it. It's cool. Again, talking about, like, shit you can't do in a CRPG. You absolutely can't. Well, okay, some games I think you can open the pause menu and inventory swap, but you couldn't do it.
No, generally not in combat, no. Never in combat.
Yeah, not usually in combat, and definitely not mid-combat action, right? In the middle of the enemy turn. But it's a thing in the tabletop, you can go, wait a minute, Mega, this guy's declared, can I just throw my ring to her? I know he's going to do it. And I'm like, shit, yeah, I guess. And you actually made the roll.
Yeah, I was surprised.
Oh, that's an ad. Sorry, I tabbed over to Twitter for a second to scroll, and I saw a Battlefield tweet, and I was like, did I follow Battlefield? No, it's a Twitter ad that got through.
But again, when we get back, I have a lot of social stuff to do. But honestly,
I think everybody has their pre-planning to do. Yeah, I got some letters.
But Yeah, but we got some letters and stuff, but I think that we'll be able to speed through the rest of Spring 3 fairly quickly. I don't think we got any like other major things we have to do unless something comes up. But I will try to
I don't
push
think it
people.
should.
Yeah, but I shall try to push people to quickly solve their things and not faff about and not necessarily get into big roleplay scenes unless we absolutely need to.
Yeah, I think the plan is obviously you can finish Lorelei Rock Return. I'm going to give you guys some letters when there's like specific like role-playing cues or a couple of discussion points. Enos's letters, for instance, where obviously you had other stuff involved, but you couched some questions in there that need some direct answers. So, we got a little will to do. Yeah, you're planning a talk with Dame Blanche, but I think that's at least going to be focused, and I feel like that's a little. So that's X saying he's gonna talk with the Lady in White. That's one of those things that I feel like is a little overdue. Like I think both Enos and Leslock have wanted to ask her like expository questions, and maybe even some of the other characters. Yeah, Nicola probably has too. Logesh and Conrad, nah.
Well, yes, no. Enos is just mostly interested in fairy culture and whatnot. Dallas is interested in his in the same way, but that's because he carries blood with them, and Leslock because she's using a strange sense of veilcraft. Excuse me.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, interesting.
Yes.
But yeah, so there's some room there, yeah. But we'll run it in. And we got a couple of questions. I know, it's there. Secret sorcery. Literally, the document has the tab for secret sorcery because you guys found a couple of pyromancies. You found them you built them in a cave with a box of scraps. But yeah, it should be pretty good. Like I said, my plan is you guys do the thing, clear it up, return, we issue some letters, and then we can just technically just schmoove on. We won't be ready to jump to Summer 1, when you guys are planning your expedition to the Fog Veil yet.
We still gotta make some plans, and we actually need to get some communicates back on that.
Yeah, you guys need to run some stuff, think some stuff, and yeah, figure out some people. But like we may at the end of this session take the time to like lock in your prospective plans for like who's going and stuff like that, and that will give me the space to write it all out, list the people, move on. But yeah, it should flow pretty good. I think the only other thing about Rain I wanted to note was just something interesting. But the last session that got posted, 55, got a few more views than normal.
Oh, that's good.
It's got like 70 views.
Really?
Yeah. I'm not sure why. There's a comment on it, and that might work for YouTube being weird.
I guess.
I also put like, because it was a combat heavy session, I put #combat in like the tags. So I don't know if that, if like tabletop RPG tags plus combat percolated it to more people's feeds, we'll probably tag the same because there's a lot of combat in 56 too.
Yes, we will be back to more socio-political aims, probably a bit more role-playing, and hopefully we can enter the macro time and speed along to the expedition. Like I said, I do think, doing the diplomatic thing first is in our best interest, but it does mean we'll, be slowing down time. Because Axe's secret sorcery is right there. Mine, I have to wait till we go to Keltacy, and considering, proper Skelegene, we can't just go kip off to the fucking desert and back. We have to, make a whole expedition about it. So we have tentatively solid that in winter. And
I will at least say, kind of as a counterpoint, right? You guys discovered like the most basic of basic pyromancies. When you get clued into your secret sorcery, you're probably gonna get a lot more spells on the list.
Probably. Well, also, I was gonna actually see if we can actually find any resources on pyromancy at the Alchemical College as well. So I was gonna.
Yeah, there'll probably be some more resources to flesh that out there as well. Yes.
Yeah, but yes, also, this is also the weird thing about this. I keep talking about the trip to Keltacy. We actually haven't really talked about that much. I've just put it in the calendar because I am going whether the other players go or not.
I think out of character for sure. The players have all said that they're okay with it. I think if it's come up, like the actual characters themselves are like, yeah, sure, we can go in winter.
Yeah, I don't know if it's actually come up because, like I said, unfortunately, this is Lucky's bad memory. I don't know if we've actually talked about going to Keltacy in the winter and stuff. Like I know I've tried bringing up a few things about the fall with Conrad, but Conrad does that thing is all like, we can talk about this later. I'm all like, cool, great. Because it's like one of those things because I do want to try and move like time along and make sure our plans are locked in. So like when the time shines, we're not faffing about going, oh, what should we do now? What should we do here? I'm like, me trying to go, we've been thinking about this for, how many ever sessions. We should have had this locked in, a long time ago. But at this one point, it's like we are doing a lot of things, and so it's kind of hard to necessarily focus on what is not in the immediate future at times.
Well, and I think it's an important thing to, like, think about with planning. Like, obviously, especially with the calendar added, it's good to get a scope of, like, thinking far ahead, right? Like, of knowing, like, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. But you shouldn't focus on things that's, like, 6 months from now when you've got shit to do next month, you know?
It's true.
So it's good to have the scale, and I am glad we did decide to just do the calendar, especially because I can, put holidays and shit on it.
Yeah, no, I like the holidays. You did some writing on those. I've, like, put notes on that. I've also decided to use the calendar to keep track of when I'm teaching the Enos students spells.
Yes, that's very good. Thank you. Because I think I've mentioned before, if we don't write them down, I won't remember to put them on the characters.
Me neither. Yeah, no, I've decided, like, each month they can get up to, like, three intensity of a spell. If it's either harder, it's going to take them, like, more than a month to learn it, which I think is fair.
That seems pretty fair, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's why Aurelia is learning Soul of Night, and Alestra is learning Mend the Soul and Soul of Light. Also got to do the thing where, I don't know if you do it this way, but I'm doing it this way. Enos has to know the spell himself before he can teach it properly. So any spell.
Yeah, I don't know if that's rules as written exactly in the rules, but that does flow with the way they talk about, like, esoterics and stuff.
Yeah. So I gotta make sure that's why Enos recently got a Soul of Light, is because that was an illustrious initial set. Because while Enos's plan is to awaken Alestra's blood, he doesn't we had to talk about this. He doesn't want her to give up the soul craft, so he's trying to tailor her spells to those that are on her too, and those that complement what he calls her aspects, which is light and healing. So and Mend the Soul is healing just for inanimate objects.
True.
So about that. Ags, you don't have to worry about teaching Aurelia. You have your mother and her fairy godmother.
It's true. I mean, if you wanted specifically to do it, because I know that, like, it is decently always on both Axe and Leslock's mind to spend time. Like, usually he either frets about not spending enough time or makes sure to note of, like, I don't know what specifically we're doing, but I want to spend time. It's good.
Like, go riding with her, go hunting with her, take her on a shopping trip with her. You can do, like, normal ass stuff.
Yeah, actually, did I even? No, I don't, because I don't think when it came up, Enos had thought to ask her about, like, how she acquired her pepper box.
No, it's like
there's a role playing bit there.
Yeah,
maybe it'll come up
when I ask her. Maybe it'll come up when I ask her about the sword, the coral sword.
There's gonna be a little bit of a but yeah, the it's not stolen. It's actually, she would just say that she, off screen, she asked a certain heir to the House of Verity what shop he went to, because he also has a little pocket pepper box.
That's cute. But no, like when you spend time with relatives, sometimes it's not necessarily doing stuff. Sometimes it's just getting them a little gift and trinket. Like, I'm very glad that Omega, mentioned that when he visited his father, his office is just full of little knickknack that Enos constantly sends, because that is something that Enos does. Like, I think I mentioned, I think I put this in the comments somewhere, that the way that Enos shows affection is with material possessions. He gives people things. If he likes you, he'll give you something. That's just what he does. If he really likes you, he makes you something.
Yeah. And I think it just, like, I don't remember if that was before or after that comment, but it was just when I was, like, describing what Enos's, like house would be like, his family. I was like, okay, so your dad's, a prince of an important circle, so he's got, stacks of clay and wax tablets and shit. But also, we've already established, Enos is a little bit of a gift giver. You guys lamented over various gifts to bring back, and Enos bought a lot of stuff. And I'm like, no, this is a pattern. This is a cycle. So your dad is just gonna have a desk that's just full of, like, neat things you've bought and brought back in the human realms, and some of it's like to display, like, hey, look what my son got me, isn't it cool? And some of it is just like, okay, how does this Newton's cradle work? How does this paperweight do a thing? Fascinating. So yeah, no, it's we get those perfect little meshes and stuff, and I've talked about this. I love Pocket Lint. I love just, like, adding little descriptions. Mm-hmm. If I'm not painting a scene with my words, I'm dead kind of shit. not literally true. There are times when you guys will just stumble into stuff, and I'm just like, I don't know, you're in an alley somewhere.
Mhm.
You guys decided to start this, but like when we're talking about like slow moments, it's like, yeah, we can just describe out. Hey, you guys are gonna get you're gonna get some fun descriptions later. Honestly, I think you got some not fun descriptions when you found the egg chamber, and I was just like, yeah, let me lay it on him. His eggs,
Yeah, I still
they're
need
goopy.
I still need to stop
His
Dallas
blood.
from just using his soul's fire on that when we can just throw a fucking torch. That I don't know why that just bugs me on I want to say on an irrational level.
No, it does. You are very up in arms about it. I mean, it kind of matches Enos' character. I think it's just one of those things of just like, you all know in and out of character, a match will do it. I said that the eggs smell like fucking aquavitae, like ethanol. They will burn.
Yeah.
So, like, you don't need to use Azoth. And, like, out of character, Azoth, it gonna hurt him. He's gonna take 1 shock damage. He'll get over it, but, like, he's gonna take damage. That's not good.
Yeah, no, he's
Look-
taking
look at the
damage for no reason. It gets to me. It gets to me. Like, you guys don't understand. I was seriously contemplating that if he went through this, I was gonna tie him down and use Sever the Soul on him and say, you can never use that again. But I'm just like, no, don't be that asshole, Lucky.
That's too mean. You should
too
threaten Nicola with that so he thinks about things, because it's character
Yeah,
building.
no, but Dallas will just go, you won't. And then I'm like, all right, now I am. Because unfortunately, Lucky is that person is you can't threaten Lucky. Lucky only has one setting when it comes to argument. It's hardball. It's all like I do not take the high road. I take you screaming through the fucking mud with me.
It's a weird one. It reminds me of I ran an Eclipse Phase campaign one time, or a one shot with Ron and Marth, and like they were trying to like figure out their plan. They were being introduced by a third party kind of a thing, and so like there was a little bit posturing back and forth, and they're like I intimidated him. I intimidated back, and I'm like, okay, you're both intimidated. You're both making very credible threats. Can we move this conversation along?
Yeah,
because it's just that kind of thing of like. Technically, like, rules is written, the Intimidate skill doesn't force people to change their minds. It's just, you feel like that guy's making a credible threat,
Mm-hmm.
And players are like that sometimes. I don't know. I think just like a simple. The problem is that you left a Lester back on the boat where it's safer. That's I feel like that's half of her job is just to just wrangle Nicola to just be like, no, don't do that. That's stupid. That's stupid of you. But like just running him through to just be like, no, it's what's the word? It's wasteful for him to go out there, because like the in-character side is like, it uses the same energy that's part of his vital force. What Soulcraft would think of as his soul. Alchemy Boy is just like, it'll all balance itself out. I'm a triangle. Mind, body, and soul. But Enos, I think, would be like, no, that's your soul. That's important to you.
Yes.
You shouldn't use it as a firewood. As a log, it's bad. No matter how cool shooting Hadokens is.
I should up my counter spell. Just be like, no, I do have a higher sense than him.
Counterspelling is fun.
It is. I should honestly, I should probably just get more counterspell in general. What does it have?
It is often the only way to defend against some spells.
I have a pool of 6. How much XP do I have? 11? Oh, good. I
And
can
it
raise
is
that up to like 5.
It is one of those skills that, like, I don't think it's sorcery is supposed to be decently rare. Like, there's an okay number of character of like situations where like certain for fluff purposes in Rain, right? Certain NPC builds might get a little bit of sorcery here and there, or might get an extra. But like counterspelling is definitely like not supposed to be rare. It is kind of your inherent defense against hostile magics. And some people are obviously going to have, like, jack shit, but some people do have a decent amount. It's not, like, crazy hard to get into. And, getting access to trainers for the counterspell discipline is fun, but requires extra juice.
Mm-hmm. No, but I think that's all about Rain for right now. As usual, Lucky is complaining about other players and complaining that he has no idea what he is doing sometimes, but I'm having fun nonetheless, which I think is the important bit.
I mean, it's not entirely improv, but it's partially improv, and that's supposed to be part of the fun. Is like you get the scene, the prompt, and you kind of like figure it out, and that is the fun. And then like I said, I've gone kind of back and forth, and I do kind of feel like a little bad that the session was shorter, because that was the first day I was working, so I was a little tired, and we didn't want to go super long, but we still went a little late anyway. But the combat didn't move fast. But also, it was kind of like one of those things of like, yeah, we were making some moves and stuff. We gotta stretch it out, and it gives me more food for thought for like encounters. You know, like honestly, I think the combat that was most efficient, but also still like had a decent amount of threat was the one where you fought like three big guys and then the 10 unworthies. Like that went by pretty fast, but that had some chance to get in there. The one that was like half mono y mono was a little risky for you guys, and that's like okay for like low numbers, but I feel like I've punched Logesh in the chest exactly enough times that it's like that's not really scary. That's just like, oh, there's the joke. Logesh got slashed in his chest again. And technically, like I haven't quite punished, I'll say Leslock, but I haven't quite punished Leslock for his hubris. I hit him in the head a couple of times with their ranged attack, but he has 2 armor there. He's wearing an iron hat because he's smart. He's concerned about his head correctly. That is the correct decision, by the way.
Yeah.
It's okay. We'll get Enos a cool mask.
Or something.
And you got your rings for a little bit of armor anyway.
No, I do like my rings. I need to make more of them. Listen, there's that's one of the things I'm going to be very glad about macro time, because we're just going to have weeks of empty space. I'm just going to be I am making several spell rolls or crafting rolls, and I'm just going to start doing stuff.
Yeah. I will say though, also, and a good thing is because we actually fucked around with area dice last time, which was there was a couple cases where there's some rule stuff we don't do super often, so it was like figuring it out. I think I have a good grasp for how your like special gobble dice on rings work, because definitely that should apply to any weird area dice attacks that come up.
Yes.
Like technically, I think if you had been in the acid zone, I think you should have gotten to roll your gobble dice against those area dice automatically, because that's water, acid.
Yes.
An evil plant tries to pollen bomb you. Probably a good use for your wood ring.
Yes. I do like them. That's why I need more of them. This is going to have, actually, is it 8 rings or 9 rings? 9 rings. Wait, do I have? Yeah. It's gonna have 4 on each of his fingers and 1 on his thumb. It's gonna have a better infinity gauntlet. I don't know. I'm making weird stuff. I don't know what I'm talking about right now. I'm done.
It's 1:15. We're gonna wrap up. We're good. We're at almost 4 hours. The episode will be good. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Hope you enjoy WANDJINA tour when it comes up. Like I said, please pay attention to the Wanted. If you want to catch the Wanted early, you can check out our Patreon. Like our lovely. Oh right. I was gonna go straight into the Patreon read, but then I remember that I like closed Chrome earlier when it was being freaky. So let me grab that list. But yes, you can support us on Patreon, like many of our patrons, $5 and up, I should say, tier gets access to videos like Wanted's early. But some of our patrons pay to listen to the show live, and some of them get a special on-air shout-out, like Adam DeHarp, Like G, Call Me Zed, Carlos, Dragon, J.D. Manifeston, Starlight, Legendary Boss, Hunter, Rise of Kenji, Rogarman, Sharvor, and Varian the Crow. Thank you very much for your support, patrons. Thanks everybody for listening along. We should be back to our normal streaming schedule again, knock on wood, about Tuesday, but we'll be back in. So, if you are liking this video, give it a like. If you watched this far, give it a like. Also, apparently, if you do happen to see it and you want to throw it our way, YouTube has rolled out that hype feature where you can, like, click the hype button to possibly get videos, like, trending on people's algorithms. I'm not exactly sure how it'll work, but I've seen people talking about it. YouTube has a little, message on my splash page that it's up. If you see it, if you'd like it, give it a little juice. Give it a little hypey click. You can leave your comments down below. You can contact us on our Discord. Discord links are in the description. We have many fun times in Discord. You can yell about many things, like video game and gacha game and other thing, anime and manga. So check that out. If you're not already, please subscribe to the channel for more videos. Consider ringing the bell for notifications when we're posting videos. And consider not only subscribing on Patreon, but also you can join our channel, our YouTube memberships for access to membership badges and emotes. I think that's all my business. So that'll be the end of the episode. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you next week. Bye.